Yeah. Look at the interior of that Chevelle. Middle picture right there. Look how white that is. It is Arctic. That's like super clean.
That looks amazing.
It was insane. I was like, I wouldn't want to get in it. I'd get it
Doesn't
dirty.
look like he does either.
No. I mean, I drove it there with it.
Did he really?
Yeah, I did. What's that?
The carpeting.
Yeah, it is.
I like that.
Yeah, carpet's black with all the interior panels.
I mean, if you had white carpet,
seats.
you'd be fucked.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Rough.
It wouldn't be me riding with you.
No.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Untitled Car Project. I'm Rob Spring.
Jeremy Molt.
Ian Fike.
And Grant is in Tahoe playing around on the water on some jet ski, he said. And so he's gone for a week? More than a week?
Yeah, he'll be back on next show.
Next show.
And I'll be out.
All right. So
Yeah.
we're taking turns, taking vacations. Everybody's getting rested up so we can go to SEMA and have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be gone actually for the next 2 shows.
Yeah, you're taking a big vacation.
Yeah. This is going to be cold and wet. And
So you got a little plan, too. Let's talk about that.
I do. Yeah. Sure. So day one, I'm flying.
We don't need your itinerary. What are you going to do while you're there? So I'm going to pack, and I thought I would put some underwear in this compartment over here.
Yeah, no. The only packing that really matters is the rain jacket I just bought. I'm going to Alaska.
Yeah.
Pretty remote age.
Is it southern, southeastern?
Southeast Alaska.
Okay.
It's a short flight from Ketchikan out to the island I'm going to.
Okay.
There's a boat out there that we've talked about in previous shows.
Yep.
This time I'm going up there. I've actually sent a bunch of parts up there.
Oh, already?
Nice. I sent marine grade wire, crimps. I sent heat shrink gun, the whole 9 yards. I am going to redo the corroded ass wire that's in this thing. Right?
You think that's mostly the problem with it?
Yeah. So when I was looking at it 2 years ago when we were up there, the marine radio wouldn't come on, and when I got to looking at it after we pulled the boat from the water, it was pretty green.
Yeah.
So, and it's a bird's nest in there.
Sure.
So
So that's the project.
That's the project.
Is get that boat hopefully running in the 2 weeks. 2 weeks you're going to be up there?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to take me that long.
Yeah.
My goal is like 1 or 2 days.
Okay.
Like fiddle fucking with the wiring on that, and then I'm on the water.
Okay, I'm gonna say it's
This is a
4
cool
days.
Trip,
Yeah.
This is a cool trip, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna do this like.
Okay.
You guys know my background.
Yeah, no, electrical, you got it.
Yeah.
No issue.
So I'm giving myself 2 days to get the wiring all sorted.
Yeah.
And I'm not rewiring from the battery to the fuse block, but I am rewiring
everything out of that, I would think.
I got a new fuse block.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the fuse
Pretty
block
corroded.
all the way out to everything else.
Okay.
And I'm giving myself a day to do it.
Just to do that.
But with overruns, it's probably going to be 2.
Yeah.
And then you want to get it on the water, and from there, what's the plan with the boat after that?
Fishing.
Sweet.
Yeah, we're going to get some fishing in. My aunt is actually going with me. So we're going to do some fishing and probably somewhere in there I'm going to do a little bit of deer hunting and that kind of stuff. Sweet. And then
you can hunt up there in this time of year?
Yeah, it actually opened August 1st.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it goes through like November.
Well, I guess you kind of have to because the season's the winter hits so early up there.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense, yeah.
Yeah, I think in the first week, only 3 or 4 of the days are supposed to be not raining.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
at least you got that, bro.
So that's project 1. Project number 2 that I'm going to be looking at and evaluating this year is that 80s Bronco.
Yes.
The full size. 80,
yes.
80 early 90s.
I'm excited about that one.
So love those.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to try to gather some information on that. First thing is figuring out whose it is.
So yeah, you know about it because what? It's sitting on
It is actually
your wife's property.
sitting on my wife's property.
Okay.
Rumor has it it's one of her dad's ex-girlfriends. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Kind of an abandoned thing. Somebody it
Yeah.
didn't stop running and they just left it. Left it for
Yeah,
dead.
and I don't know if it stopped running or if she just
left it.
moved away from Alaska and was like, it would be cheaper for me to buy something when I got to where
For
I
sure.
was going.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know how much it would have been to ship back then, but it's $5,000 each way to ship a car right now.
Wow.
To Alaska?
No
Yeah.
way.
You can get one to Hawaii cheaper.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, it's about $5,000 to ship it. You can also do the ferries,
Yeah.
the ferry system to get up there
And drive it.
and drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like 3 days on the ferry. You
Yep.
got to be with it.
Yep.
And I want to say that the trip from Everett to Ketchikan's like $3,000.
No kidding.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
not
ferry
cheap. Yeah,
ticket
and that's one
with
ferry.
the vehicle. Yeah.
So there's another ferry to get out to the island.
Dang.
So yeah,
All right.
So that'd be an expensive project.
Well,
It depends.
it depends.
to ship it, but
Yeah.
so yeah, tell us like what your thoughts are with that truck
So-
if you can figure out the logistics.
If I can figure out the logistics of whose it is,
Mm-hmm.
and we can maybe crowdsource some of the parts and maybe even some of the labor.
some of the funding.
Yeah, some of
Yeah.
the funding, some of the labor, stuff like that. I'd like to do a roadkill type episode
Yes.
and take a group of dudes up there.
I happen to know a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a few dudes up there, take the ferry and a bunch of parts and get this thing running. And
Try to drive it back.
that's where I'm torn because,
I
like I
think
said,
so.
it would be awesome to drive it back and use it. But on the other hand, my other thought was find an underprivileged kid that, coming into the driving age
Right.
or, working age and help him out.
Yep.
Like donate it,
Right.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Either way.
Either
like,
way, I agree.
love that style, that era of Bronco.
Oh, me
The
too.
full size.
Me too.
Those and the K5 Blazers, super fan of those things.
Yeah,
Agreed.
it's like the
Yeah.
brown tan color too. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, pretty
It's-
cool.
Yeah, those resonate with me too.
Yeah,
I mean, you
right
see
on.
them as a kid; they're just awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't really finish our introduction, so as I'm going to do it better than Grant because he always plurals everything. It's Untitled Car Project on Facebook and Instagram. There's no S at the end. There's no the at the beginning. It's just Untitled Car Project.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Twitter, which we don't use, so whatever. Untitled Car Pro.
Discord.
Sure, with me, Grant, and Jamie.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
we
still
got
there.
3
It's
people
still
there.
We got
exists.
three
We
now.
got 3 now.
Yeah.
I haven't even tried to
Join the
log in
Facebook
yet.
group. We've got like over 500 people on there. People are sharing their rides and that kind of stuff. I think that's pretty cool. We do more social on Facebook than anything else. I do post on Instagram every once in a while, just throwing up a link to a show, some pictures of somebody's project and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, the stories on Instagram are, I think,
they're pretty
crucial.
good.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I like the little clips of audio, and get some pictures of our guests' rides and that kind of stuff is working out pretty good. So if you're listening, you can jump over there and find those things and communicate with us if you want. Send me a message. I get messages on Messenger every once in a while. So
And I respond
there.
to a lot of the Facebook posts.
yes,
Yeah, I'm actually been really stoked on how much, traffic we've been getting on the
A lot.
page, man. It's been blowing up.
Well, I was
It's been
just telling Jeremy we're over 1,400 now on Facebook, so that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. We're growing a little
yeah.
bit. I don't know how else to grow it, but if somebody out there listening to this has some ideas, help me out.
Great.
Yeah.
Help me out. So I thought this episode we would backtrack just a touch because we went to Beaches Cruise In here in Portland at the Portland International Raceway. for those that don't know and those that listen on the other side of the country or somewhere else in the world, because we do have some of those, that is basically a Wednesday night car show. It happens every Wednesday throughout the summer. They bring in anywhere from 150 to 300 cars on a Wednesday night. There's live music, there's beer, there's food. It's a really good time. Drag races at the same time.
Yeah.
So we went out there to check that out. And we did a podcast about it the other night. And we tried something new. We tried to basically call in because we were all really busy, couldn't get together. And it just didn't work out. The audio was terrible.
Yeah,
So we either need to fix that or never do it again.
I think that was the recording device that Grant and I were using on our side.
Yeah,
I think
that one was
you
not
guys
good.
Sounded good.
Yeah.
Grant and I sounded like we were in an echo chamber, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so.
you did.
Yeah, a little bit.
So we scrapped it, decided not to post it. So we're going to talk a little bit about it now. We've got some of the pictures up on our screen. You want to scroll down a little bit there? Just some of the cool stuff that we saw. I mean, honestly, we couldn't even go over everything because so many cars and so many cool people to talk to. And I think next time, if we do it again, we'll take some recording equipment with us and do some short interviews and that kind of stuff. But anyway, so one of our favorite throughout thing was Bitter. Did it have a model or the model Bitter Coupe?
Yeah.
And it looks like, I'm going to blow this because Grant, it looks Ferrari. Remember what that was?
It kind of looks like it kind of looks like a Mondial, but it's like front wheel
there you
drive.
go. That was it.
Or it's a front engine rather.
Yeah.
But it has the same kind of line from Pininfarina, like that designer. And Grant said it had some designer that was on the team or something. But it's a gorgeous car. I mean, for a front engine car from the 80s, it's striking.
It is, and it's quite rare, actually.
Super rare.
Most people have never heard of a Bitter. I never had until I'd seen this one. The guy was super knowledgeable about the car, which makes sense. I mean, he owns it and has done the research on it to keep it running. You know, he said parts are getting... It's built on an Opel frame, is that correct?
Opel.
Chassis?
Yeah, it was an Opel chassis.
Okay. So, yeah, he's done all the research to try and find parts and stuff, which is apparently getting more difficult to find.
I'm sure
not surprising.
No, I'm not, like you said, I've never heard of it either.
Right. It's a gorgeous blue, dark, kind of a navy blue, tan interior, all original. I even at the interior is done. It was so nice. And the guy's like, "No, man, that's the way I bought it."
But the car only had like 5,800 miles.
Yeah, it was really low mile.
Okay, well that's
Yeah,
a different story.
for sure.
I mean, it's almost. I mean, not really, but it's almost new. You know.
Yeah, I mean theoretically, yeah.
Right.
As far as use,
Yeah.
Neat car.
Very cool car.
Really neat car.
It's been 3 weeks ago now, so
would you go back to that?
The
picture of the
details.
interior?
Yeah, back up one. The details are escaping me a little bit, and Grant probably has more of a memory on it.
Really good. I mean, it kind of reminds like the interior of a Maserati Biturbo of the same era. Had the big padded,
Pillowy
seats,
seats. Like, yeah, you sit in those things, you're just like, oh, that's luxury.
It was luxury.
Yeah.
I mean, it just looks killer. The driver, where you're sitting, everything seems to be pretty Grand Tour-esque.
Yeah, right.
And I think they took the original 3-liter Opel motor and punched it
it out.
out to
That's
a
right.
3.9 liter.
That's
or
right.
something.
Yep.
It's a big punch too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be right at the limits of what the cylinders can handle.
Yeah.
I would think.
Me too.
Go forward to where the tag is. I got a picture of the motor tag. I think it had a little. There you go.
There you go.
Bitter SC. So it's a SC. I'm assuming is something coupe, right?
I'd say yeah.
Um, it's got the motor size there. Yeah, 3.9.
234 cubic inch.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Big.
So, I don't know. Really cool car. If you're interested in seeing something you've not seen before, look up a Bitter, Bitter.
We'll definitely post these
Yep.
on the Facebook page.
Yep. We can do that for sure. Let's hit up the next one there.
We're back out of this thing.
We're learning how to use a computer at the same time.
Okay. The second one was
This is your baby.
the Jeep,
The Super Jeep.
military Jeep. This guy, real interesting, right? So he actually bought this and built it for logging, and it had like the step on the side, had this. I don't know if it was a hydraulic or some sort of pneumatic cylinder.
Is there a model
He
to
made
that
it,
Jeep?
right?
What's the model of that thing? It's beastie. I mean, we're not talking Jeep Wrangler style here.
No,
This
it's
thing
like
is
a 1-ton.
Yeah.
Jeep
Didn't he
pickup.
base it off a Deuce or something like
Oh,
that?
it might be a
I think he
Deuce.
put it on a Deuce chassis, which is cool.
It's got 38-inch tires or something.
Yeah, it was huge. And
Yeah, it's a big truck.
The step came down. Like when he stepped on it, it came down so he could get in and out of the truck.
It auto retracted.
and auto retracts.
Yep.
And he designed that himself. I think you mentioned
Yes.
that, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool
He was trying to get a patent on it and didn't end up getting it for one reason or another.
because it's too expensive.
Yeah.
But I mean, he had it set up to sleep in. He had it set up to be able to pull big logs out of the freaking.
He also had 2 gallons of oil in the passenger wheel well.
Yes, he
So I think
did.
it burned some oil.
Yeah. Well,
Yes, he did.
This guy's local to me.
Oh, is he?
I just saw him yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Driving that?
Yeah, driving
Oh,
that.
that's awesome.
And I was driving home and I saw that thing pull out of this little coffee shop. I'm like, there he is again.
No, that's
But,
cool.
you know, he actually drives this thing every day.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It is cool.
The thing can't ride that well. It's got to be just a rough riding
Well,
beastie.
If it's actually a real Deuce and a half,
Well, it's a Deuce, I
They're
think.
Deuce.
Just a Deuce, yeah.
if it's a real Deuce, I mean, that's a 2-ton, man. That's
Yeah, that's stiff.
that's
big.
a stiff.
That's rough.
Big truck,
stiff
yeah.
springs on it, yeah. And it's not that big, so unless you've
He
got
cut it and chopped it and everything.
yeah, unless you've got some serious weight in that thing, you are
Oh, you're bouncing everywhere, aren't you?
You're gonna bounce your head into the ceiling.
I'm sure it felt better with some logs on the back.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just throw weight in there for ballast.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, let's skip the GP. Let's go to
I
the.
was thinking that too.
There you go.
This one.
Yep.
Oh, man.
This is a gorgeous car.
So this is,
Probably the most expensive car there.
Yeah.
yeah, Cobra.
289.
AC.
289
Cobra.
AC Cobra, just sitting out in the field next to old Ford F100. We're talking low price, probably $1.3 million.
Yeah.
Sitting in a field. This is an original AC Cobra. With a 289.
Untouched, too.
Untouched. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Unrestored, but in really good condition. It just kind of blew us all away because there wasn't a crowd around this car. I kind of feel like
Nobody knew what it was.
90% of the people out there didn't know what that car was.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
Yeah. And it was really cool to be able to get up close to it. For the listener, it is a silver AC Cobra. Had the original knockoff wheels,
Yep.
the single hub tight.
Dude.
Just the patina on it and the rods. Like, somebody drove this thing. And, yeah, they took real good care of it for the year of it. But, you could tell it wasn't babied.
No, they
He's definitely-
actually used it.
Oh, they used it. And
Yeah.
it was...
Yeah,
it was cool seeing in the interior of one of these because I've actually never seen an authentic one.
super basic.
It was cool.
Yeah.
And it was in very well kept shape.
Yeah. And like you said, it's got some patina, so around the wheel wells, you could see a little bit of paint bubbling, a
Probably
little chipping.
a blowout or something.
Yeah,
exactly.
little chipping here and there. Just a fantastic car to see and get up close to and just realize what it is without a whole bunch of people standing around looking at it. It kind of surprised me, really.
Me too.
For what that was.
That one would be a hell of a car to take, out on a Sunday in the
Well,
nice weather.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's funny too because the 289s, from my research and reading and hearing of them, the 289 handled a lot better than the big block ones because the
Oh,
big
yeah.
block became sketchy and hard to
Yeah.
drive, right?
Yeah.
And at least the 289 wasn't. It was overpowered for the weight of the vehicle, but it was manageable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I would say
a
that-
Sunday driver, that'd be super fun.
Yeah, and I would say almost that big block, as heavy as it was in the front,
Yeah.
is almost a straight line.
It
car.
had to change the total dynamics
Oh,
of the car.
absolutely.
Yeah.
This
I'm
thing
sure.
could probably carve pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas the big block, I mean, you had to add at least 100 to 200 pounds in the front end.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. So.
And you needed twice the fuel to keep it moving.
Right.
Yeah, you're stopping at every gas station. Very cool. That was neat to see for sure.
This one?
Yeah, let's go to the Opal or whatever that.
The Subaru? Oh,
The Saab.
Saab.
Sonnet.
Sonnet, yeah. This is a cool looking car. It is really short.
Anybody that knows what
wheelbase.
and narrow.
Yeah.
If you
very
know what a
narrow.
Saab Sonnet is, this is like the most pristine example I've ever seen.
Me too.
Really good backstory. I don't know if you guys want to go into the backstory. There is a picture of his write-up on it.
We can post that.
If you want to look at that. You can just
We can go over it real
Basically,
quick.
he
Talk
saw
real
it
quick.
in a bank parking lot, and he was like, really like that car. And then years later, his girlfriend knew the owner and said, I want that car. And she goes, oh, yeah, well, my friend's selling it. So he came up with a deal, and he bought it.
ended up buying it.
It was the same car he kind of lusted after years earlier.
Yeah.
And he's had it ever since, which is really, really cool. He saw it in 1970 and bought it in 73.
So this car only has 57,000 original miles.
You could tell.
Yeah.
And 21,000 of them they drove on their honeymoon,
Yeah.
which that's just insane amount of miles for. Oh
That
my
is
god!
insane.
They drove it from British Columbia, Canada, to Mexico.
Yeah. And they
And
had
back.
to have driven
And
it
back.
around, right? I mean,
For sure.
Yeah. They didn't just drive it down there. They
No.
drove it down there. They drove all over hell and back, and then they came home.
Yeah.
21,000 miles is a lot more
That's a
than one
lot of
trip
miles.
down there and back.
That's
Right?
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I don't know. Pretty
the color
interesting car.
was awesome. I know he restored it, but he
Yeah, I
said
was
a
going to
few-
ask you, was that original paint?
No,
It
he
wasn't.
said most of it was original, like the interior was mostly original, but he did restore it. He did restore all the suspension. He restored under hood. The paint was restored. I don't know if he painted it. He kind of alluded that. But
If he did, he painted it original paint.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Same color. You know, I think what
He made
one
it
of the
seem like
other
he,
thing.
he made it seem like after that trip or at some point he just kind of stashed it and kept it really nice.
Yeah, especially as low miles that it is, you can tell that he did that. The other thing that we all found pretty interesting is it's got a V4 motor sitting in front of the front axle.
It's a Ford motor, even.
It is a Ford motor, right? I've seen these for sale pop up over the years, and I always found them interesting because it's one of the only production cars ever with E4.
Okay. Yeah. I'd like to take that motor and put it in a go-kart.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure it would be great. But like you said, it puts the motor in front of the front axle. I've never driven a car with anything like that.
Yeah,
And I'm sure the handling is unique.
for sure. Not,
I mean-
that does not mean good.
No,
It's
no,
just
it doesn't.
unique.
Rob, I
But
think this
unique.
car is a go-kart.
Kind of is a go-kart, isn't it?
The size
Yeah.
of it is much smaller than I imagined.
It's super narrow. I feel like the length of the wheelbase isn't so bad, but it's so much narrower than you see most cars.
Yeah. And, the fastback look of it doesn't actually have a lift back little tray thing that folds down.
Yeah, I don't even know what would you classify that? It's like a tailgate.
Yeah, it is a
kind of.
tailgate. That's
I
exactly
would,
right, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a tailgate, and they built it just big enough to get the fuel cell in and out of.
Right. Yeah, crazy. Pretty cool car.
Cool
Yeah.
car.
All right, which one's next?
Pick one.
Man, there's so many cool ones. We were really excited about this one.
Yeah, that's
it out.
one of my favorites for sure. What did we decide? That was a
It's I don't remember what year.
58. I think we
Yeah,
we decided that was
58.
about a 58 two-door Chevy Impala convertible. Did he have an LS motor in that? Do you recall?
I think it was an L3.
It's for the listener. 58 has big wheels on it, very styled after the jet age of
Is that an
vehicles.
Impala?
It is, I believe
This
it's
is the
an
same
Or
Impala.
is that a Bel Air?
No,
Impala.
that's an Impala.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were very similar for that era.
Yep. Yeah. Everybody had the big wings on stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Like 57 for the Bel
Oaktail
Air was
stuff.
the biggest wing. And yeah. Anyway.
So the one thing I noticed about under the hood here, it looks like it barely has enough shit to make it run.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
super
he
clean.
tucked it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. All the wiring is gone. All the everything that he could hide, he did hide.
Yeah.
Like it's so clean in there. It's like he just put a motor in there and that's it.
Yeah.
It's like it's in there for pretty.
There's like the brake master cylinder and the wiper motor, and that's all you can see in
all
this
that's
thing.
there.
He
I'm
shaved-
actually
he shaved
surprised the
and
wiper
tucked the
motor's
rest.
even there.
Yeah. Actually, I kind of was too, but I mean, it looks clean.
Gorgeous.
Anyway, the red color is carried throughout the car, throughout the interior, throughout
The interior looks amazing.
Yeah,
So
it's all red leather with a very custom-made center console.
And the seats. Those seats are
it looks retro mod, right?
insane.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, this one will be a good one to post on
I love
our
that.
social. So we'll put that one up there too, so you guys can.
Yeah. This was one of my favorite cars of the show.
Oh, yeah. 55?
I don't remember what year it was. It was
Terrible. Just absolutely terrible with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we circled back to this one. I was just blown away by this car.
So this is early. It's a C1. Is that correct?
Yeah,
C1,
C1.
Yep.
Corvette.
Hardtop.
With the dual headlights. They didn't do that very often. There was a very short run of that, and I don't even know if it was 1 year or two.
I don't either, to be honest with you.
That's how I looked it up for the year, but now I can't. It's weeks ago, it seems like.
But that interior.
But it had a very custom interior done on our.
It's very old man colors.
We decided it was
I
a
liked
chocolate.
it.
I do.
I
love
liked it. I love brown interior.
Very chocolate interior.
Brown or
it would
tan
show wear
interior.
really well. Like
Yeah.
it would just keen and yeah, very special car.
And he had like highlights of that interior.
Oh,
which
did he?
Yeah, he did.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, he had like a valve cover, like the Chevrolet thing, or Corvette painted in that same color of brown.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I was like, that is cool.
nice.
Very, very clean. Very
Yeah.
good job on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another expensive
I
car.
think, oh, here it is. This is it, right?
What you got? Oh yeah, that's the motor of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
See, and
mine-
that's the V8. See, the early Gen 1 or C1, I should
C1,
say.
yeah.
They had the Blue Flame inline 6.
Mm-hmm.
So this is after that when they had a V8, or it's been motor swapped. I don't know. I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
There has been work done though because it's not original. You can tell by the radiator fan, radiator.
The radiator itself, yeah.
I don't know about those valve covers. They do say Corvette on them, so who knows?
Yeah.
He could have pulled him from a later C1.
A great restoration
That was
though.
amazing.
And chromed.
Yeah, a couple chrome bits here and there.
Components, yeah.
Yeah.
I almost thought that was an oil bath air filter, but it's not. It's just a louvered
Yeah.
metal air filter.
Gotcha.
Skip that one.
Yep.
This one I
We
want
can
to
talk about that.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing was nuts.
This thing was dope.
We should
I don't. It's
That's an Apache, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an Apache. It's gorgeous. It was twin turbo.
50. What did we decide? 55?
Gotta be
Yeah.
late 50s
Yeah.
at most.
Yep. 55 Apache, 3/4 ton, I'm guessing.
4 window. That's important.
Yeah.
Okay. Fully caged.
Fully caged.
Fully on airbags.
Yep.
Twin turbo V8.
Crazy
Super crazy beast of a build.
cantilever
Yeah.
rear suspension.
Oh yeah, the rear suspension
yeah.
you could see through the bed and all that he went through to design that. I'm excited to post this one because that is a crazy cool build.
It's actually so low to the ground that the
sitting on the
cab
ground.
is sitting on the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he could set it on the ground with the air,
Yeah.
which is really cool. I mean, not something I've ever been like too interested in doing myself, but for this truck, it looks insane.
It looks crazy cool. Yeah. Did either of you talk to the
yes.
owner of that one?
No, he wasn't there.
Okay.
But-
Because I'd really like to know what that thing runs. I'm sure he drag races that
I
car.
mean, that looks to be a 6.2 LS
Mm-hmm.
of some kind, and he's got 2 massive turbos on it.
Massive turbo.
yeah.
Like, all the custom
I mean,
intake piping and
I don't know who
exhaust
said it
piping.
last time, but you could stick a football in the end of that turbo.
Oh, dude, it was nuts.
Yeah.
I'm sure it made some serious power. Nothing looks untouched.
Yeah. Fully
Nothing.
caged. Tube support front
Yeah, and
chassis.
his seats were like Kirky metal seats. Like
Oh, it's
it was
race
a
seats,
serious
full on.
truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if it was driving down the road though and the hood was closed,
Oh yeah.
you'd never know that thing would.
I would
absolutely-
like to
Especially
know
if
what
you
it
had
sounds like.
aired
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Well, he had didn't he have the exhaust sticking out right behind the front wheels?
That's true. Yeah, I think so.
They're just cut off. So it's going to be
I
loud.
think that was the screamer pipes, though.
okay.
Yeah, it might have had
Yeah, I think it had an actual. No, I think
right
that's,
there.
that's the screamer pipe and the exhaust.
Okay.
Yep.
So he had them both right
Love
there.
to hear that thing run.
Shooting flames out of the side of the. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, his air setup was really interesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really
Look
clean.
at that. That's crazy.
Super beast of a truck. Yeah, I don't even know how to. I mean, he's got a fuel cell behind the rear floor to the bed of the truck, so you can see everything that's going on in there with his X and that kind of stuff. It's all patinaed. It's not a painted truck. The bed is rust color. The front is blue, white, and rust. So, yeah,
I'd take it to the autocross.
I'd be interested.
I don't know how well that would do.
Yeah, with
honestly.
bags, I don't know.
I'd try it anyway.
Sure. Worth the try.
You guys drift bagged cars, and they don't do too.
Yeah, get stiff enough to just hold it up, right?
Yeah. Should we let Grant talk about that one
Yeah.
when he comes back?
Yep. We're just doing a little overview here.
We'll let
anyway.
him talk about that one too. You wanted to talk about this one.
That's a
though.
great car.
Oh, my train of thought is not clear on this.
This
What
one?
was that? Was a 55 Corvette conversion.
We saw this thing roll
Conversion.
out, Rob.
We did. Yep.
Yeah.
Split window. But here's the thing. It's sitting on a C5 chassis. So the front end and the back of the car look, honestly, just like split window
They
Corvette.
really do.
You see it from the side view, like, wait, that's like a foot and a half longer than a C5. And it looked a little bit funny, but also cool at the same time.
I thought it looked pretty cool.
Yeah. I really liked the front end. Like, they did a great job emulating what that car should look like.
C2s are my favorite Corvettes.
Yeah.
By far, as far as just looks and prowess. But, man, that thing it looks a little more modern
Yeah.
in the, the cabin.
Yep.
When it's driving by. It was still like, it sounded good. And I know that Grant mentioned that he looked it up and there was a conversion company or something.
Carl Customs.
Carl Customs.
Yeah.
Carl with a K.
Carl with a K.
And they
Yeah.
had a bunch of different kits.
They did, but
Yep.
this one really worked.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those that he showed me didn't really work. They kind of off a little bit, but this
I
one.
thought the car next to this one was kind of the same.
It was also a Carl Customs. I cannot.
I don't know if we
That one had a
pictures
weird
of it.
front of one. That one right in the middle.
Oh, this one.
Oh, I actually
Had a
took some
strange
notes.
front end on that.
Okay, so that was a 53 split window. That's
Okay.
what that was.
Okay.
And the second one is something else, right?
It's a 60.
something. Yeah.
I am getting them backwards. I'm sorry. The 66 is a split window.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was a 53.
Okay.
Got it.
So, yeah, they had the two Carl Customs. What would you even call them? Kit mod
They're,
cars?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. Yeah,
yeah.
conversion.
Conversions.
Yeah.
Resto conversion. You take a C5 or a C6 and you put these kits on them to make them look like a historic Corvette. They don't look exactly like it, but they're neat. They're kind of
They are
neat.
cool.
Yeah.
And they're not really a retro mod. It'd be like a mod retro.
It's almost
Yeah,
like,
right? You take a new car and make it look old.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, the cool thing is you've got that older styling with a really good handler.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And modern,
A lot of power.
modern
Features.
that you can live with.
Creature
AC,
comforts.
creature comforts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's nice.
Yeah. No, really cool.
I respect them.
Yeah, I like what they did there. So, yeah, that's the, is that the El
one?
Camino? What's that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't tear the whole car. Probably just Camino. Because it
did.
was for old. There it is.
There it is. Yeah, and the one before it too.
I've never even seen an El Camino that age. I don't even know.
You know what's funny?
That's the interior.
When you guys showed me the Impala, I actually got a 53 Bel Air from a friend, or a 59 Bel Air from a friend of mine. It had my motor that I have in my car now,
Oh, okay.
and they all have such similar boat tail, slightly canted taillights. They
Yeah.
almost all look the same in the rear with those big fins, you know?
When I was looking it up, that's about the right age, 59, 60,
Yeah,
somewhere.
about that. Yeah.
It was. That's got to be that El
But
Camino
that El
too.
Camino rear end just was so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Compared to even the Bel Air I had.
So I'm gonna do a quick Google on that because I think 59-ish. I didn't even know they made El Caminos back then, but oh come on.
I'm not sure they were very desired.
So
Maybe.
my favorite car from this show. There's not a picture
Yeah,
up here.
that's it. It's a 59.
59, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny because they looked the same in the rear as so many other cars they had.
Yeah,
It's good in
Impala.
black.
it's a cool
Oh,
car.
yeah,
Yeah.
black. Yeah, I'll take
It's
one in black. But yeah, the Bel Air, the El Camino, the Impala, they all looked kind of similar in the back.
Yep.
They're clean.
Very cool. Anyway, 1959 El Camino that I didn't even know existed. So there's that. All right, so that's a little wrap up of our beaches stuff. I know it's not like being there, but there you go.
We didn't really get a picture. Well, I have one picture, I think, of the truck that I really liked.
I got one picture too.
The F1 150.
Oh,
the 89.
yeah, you can talk about that one.
Yeah, so
Nardo gray.
That thing was clean, and the way he did it with the black wheels and the chrome,
Yep, he had the
insert on the
Detroit wheels for everybody that's
Just
familiar with those.
gorgeous truck.
Big wheels too. They were like 22, but they were just perfectly set in the wheel well. The offset was
They really
money.
matched it well.
It did.
Yeah.
It didn't look gaudy or anything. It just like kind of era right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we walked up to it, I'm like, man, I hope this thing's a straight 6.
And it was.
And it was. And it had
It
a
was.
5-speed, and the interior looked immaculate.
Yeah. Yeah, he did a good job fixing that up. And if I remember right, he'd had it since high school.
Yeah. I think him and his brother kind of,
Yeah.
gave it back or sold it back and forth to each other, which is cool. It was a beautiful truck. We'll post that one too.
Yeah, I totally could see Ian driving that.
Oh,
Oh,
I would
absolutely.
love to drive that truck.
Absolutely.
That's-
Yeah.
it's got my name on it.
You can't tell me an 89 standard cab F-150 is expensive. You should go pick one of those up. That's a project.
I've had some before. I had an early 90 Sierra standard cab single, standard cab, short bed,
Yeah.
lowered Sierra, and 5-speed, 305.
Ooh.
I loved that truck. I wish I
Nice.
never got rid of it.
Yeah,
It
and if
was
you could
sweet.
find it in an F-250 or an F-350 and make
Oh,
it
that'd
look
be
like
even
that
better.
thing. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, buddy.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be your new tow vehicle.
Yeah, it'd be pretty sweet.
Heck yeah.
So I went to a little bit of a car show out in Lebanon over the weekend. Saw some really great stuff. There was probably 40 cars. There was a few that came and went, replaced by another one. But just a couple of the highlights for me was that Henry,
Which one's that?
the
red
black one up on the top corner there. 51 Henry. Look at that.
Oh my god.
That's like your gangster level.
Yeah.
When you see them in the movies with their Tommy guns hanging out the door and stuff.
for
That
real.
thing is so cool.
I've never even heard of one of those.
I didn't get to see what he had under the hood.
Well, I mean, just by looking at the outside,
Oh, it's a hot
front
rod.
bumper's tucked.
Yeah.
The headlights are Frenched.
Yep.
Probably, I'd say 50% of the chrome on the side is been deleted or smoothed out.
Right.
I
The
don't
wheels
see
set
any
up on the
chrome
back.
the side.
Yes. Look at the wheel set up on the back.
That is tubbed. It's a small tub at least.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
He did a
from the size of
lot
the,
of cool
the
stuff.
tires that he's in there, he's got some juice under the hood.
That thing is sweet.
Yeah. And the painted black, instead of going with the chrome grill and the bumper, is painted black to match the gloss of the car. It's badass.
I love this car.
It's a really cool car.
And he's got modern rear view
Looks-
mirrors.
Looks like it's
those-
I didn't even notice that.
Those
Yeah.
have been outfitted from a different vehicle,
Yeah.
but they work well.
They do.
Looks like the interior might be modded too.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. No, it was super clean. Really nice.
That thing's trick.
Really nice looking car.
Yeah.
Wow.
The other one that personally I really liked, that I don't even know what that Oldsmobile is in the lower left, but it's got suicide doors, and I thought that was pretty sweet.
Wow.
We'll have to do a little research
Whoa.
on that.
Yep,
That thing's tricked out too.
it is. It's a maroon red front bumper painted the same color. It's also kind of tucked into the car, right? It doesn't stick out. With a white top and just sparkly white interior. Something about that white interior just makes it pop. And then the suicide doors. Craziness.
nuts.
Yep. So I don't know if the suicides were stock on that car because I don't even know what it is. Like all the badging was gone. I was like, is that an Oldsmobile? Is it a Buick? What is it? So that was pretty cool. But the other one that I really liked was the 71 Chevelle. And what stood out to me was one of our previous episodes where, who was it, talked about the creamsicle.
Yeah. I don't remember who talked about that. It wasn't me. I know that.
No. Anyway, so this SS, bright orange with wipes. It's got a blower under the hood and and
Is that a blower?
sparkling white interior. Like every piece of that, the dash was white, the door cards are white, seats All the front and back seats are white. The only thing that was dark was the carpet was black.
It kind of looks like it's
I
just
think
a
it's
blower
dual
scoop.
carb, yeah.
I don't see an actual
No,
supercharger.
you're right.
though.
It's not belted blower.
But it still looks like a...
Yep.
It looks like it'll fucking stroke you.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
Yep.
It looks ready to go.
Great looking car. And
Yeah.
I really like the Chevelles. So
Me too. I love that gen.
Yep.
It definitely thirsty.
Oh,
the-
yeah.
Yeah. So there was, Barracudas. There was cool Apache.
I love that
Half
gen
ton
of
there.
Cuda. We talked about it already, but I really, really love that gen.
73.
Anywhere from 70 to 73 was just my favorite.
Yep.
I think they were so cool looking.
Yeah. Really good looking. There was actually 2 or 3 of those there. There was that green one. You see that one pretty often.
Yeah, I've seen that one before.
And then there was a black one, gloss black, and then it had the stripes on the side where it said 340 in
I
it.
love that.
But that was in the flat, and you could just barely make it out. It looked so good. Yeah.
I love how Dodge was doing that back then.
Yeah.
Or Plymouth or whatever you want to say. But, Mopar.
Yep. So that was pretty fun. I don't give the shout out for doing that. Lebanon Car Show. Over the weekend, that same weekend, I went out to Willamette Speedway, also out in Lebanon. I was just hanging out down there this weekend. Went to the races. Hadn't been to a circle track race in years. Like since my dad and I were going when I was living in Eugene as a teenager. Super good. Ran the late models, ran the super modifieds, ran the little kids with, or not kids.
Chump cars?
Chump. Is that what they are?
Yeah, chump
The
cars.
little go-kart ish with the ran the chump cars.
Not chump carts.
Anyway, carts
Yeah, cart
of some kind. A little shorter track for
Open-
those guys.
open wheel.
Open wheel, yeah. But it
Open
was
wheel,
fun to
yeah.
watch. And then there was one sprint car with a GSXR 600 motor in it. Nobody else showed up to race him, but he ran his laps.
I love sprint
Held
cars.
it flat to the floor all the way around. It was awesome. I was like, I want to drive that.
I love circle
Oh my
track.
gosh.
I love dirt track, dude.
So they run it every Friday night.
That's
It's awesome.
year-round?
Year-round.
No.
Not year-round. Summertime.
okay.
Every
yeah.
Friday night.
Like May through September.
Yeah, something like that. So
Okay.
it was super fun.
Those kids' cars were cage cars, I bet.
They were caged, but they weren't kids driving them.
Yeah, no,
They were-
they're like a 500cc 4-stroke on them. They're pretty fast. I know what they are.
I agree and disagree because not all of them had 500 motors in them. They were
No?
not that big. They were not that big.
Interesting.
But the one in the sprint car, I know it was a 600 because they announced what he was running.
Yeah.
And that was like a GSXR or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Just
I would like
wide
to
open.
see, just wide open. I want to see a whole field of those guys going around that thing at once.
Banks.
I've seen
Just-
that before in Texas.
They have them out at
Outside of
Banks.
Austin, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do run them in banks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure
I
they
went-
run
I
them
went to a
everywhere. They
sprint
just
car
didn't happen to
race.
show up. Oh, yeah.
Just sprint cars.
That'd
It
be
was
cool.
like 200 freaking cars.
Yeah.
Like 3 classes.
Yeah, yeah.
It was really cool, man. Those things are nasty.
Yeah, super fun.
Yeah, super
Yeah, we had
fun.
a good time. I mean, there was we ended up with 2 cars in the fencing.
Perfect.
Yep. So there was some slamming and banging. and
Action.
there was some action. Pretty crazy. Anyway, that was a fun Friday night. Like I said, I haven't been to a race like that in a long time. I would suggest if you haven't done it in a while, go do it. Find a local circle track.
Yeah.
And that track can't be a quarter mile. It's, they're pretty short. The bigger ones you can find, the better. Like, I really like the bigger tracks,
Me
but
too.
it's still fun. Yeah.
It is still fun.
Autocross from, I don't know how many of those we've missed now.
Oh, quite a few.
3 weeks of,
Yeah.
I don't know. You can't even catch up. We went autocrossing and had fun. What are you going to say? Grant would probably talk for an hour on it, but I'm just like, I don't know. He wants to catch up on it, and by now I can't remember half the crap that happened.
Right.
Yeah. So, but we do have one coming up, and that's really what I wanted to talk about, because Ian, are you coming?
I'm coming.
Okay.
I'm ready to go. Finally.
buddy.
You sign up yet?
Yeah. No, but
Okay.
I should.
Yes.
Thanks for reminding me.
I looked today, there are 5 open spots.
So I was just like, I've been on the fence about doing anything because I just got my car tuned today.
Yes, and we're going to talk about that.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, but like I just didn't want to commit to anything until it was all said and done.
Yeah,
like
still you
the
know
car
what you
was
got.
good to go.
That's fair.
So now that it is,
Yep.
I'm excited to get some events in before the winter. but that's
Yeah.
on my list. I really want to try it.
Okay, well, we'll get you signed up. I don't know if you want to do 2 days or one, but we'll talk about that.
Okay, cool.
Get you signed up. So I'm excited about that. That's going to be our last Corvette sanctioned autocross of the year. I'm really disappointed in myself as far as I wanted to do time trials this year. We just had Time Attack at the Ridge last weekend. I was busy, couldn't make it.
That's a great track.
I know. And so, yeah, I've just like all the big track stuff I wanted to do. It hasn't hit right. The weekends have been off. Like timing has been bad. Yeah. It's just like, okay, well, I guess that's what is going to happen this weekend or this year.
Yep. And they can't all be just slam dunks.
I know it.
You got to skip over some stuff.
Yeah. Life gets in the way.
It does.
Or maybe it's not in the way. Just other things happen.
Other things, yeah.
I did want to touch on Max's race truck. I reached out to Max, see how things are going. He might make the last event. It's close.
He's been putting in work.
He has been. The pictures look great. Like he's got that thing slammed to the ground. He's got new body on it. It's ready to run.
Sweet.
Was he on show 3?
3 or 4.
7,
3 or
right?
4?
Or
7.
He was on 7.
It was
with me.
7?
Yeah,
Okay.
7 with me.
So we're in 19 now.
20.
This will be 20.
20. We're talking 13 weeks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
13 weeks he's had that truck, and he's almost got it to the point.
Oh,
it's
he's ready to
done.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. God.
Yeah.
Well, he was pretty excited about it.
Yeah. No, he did the
That's
thing.
epic.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see it run. He said he's got a couple of leaks he's trying to take care of, sealing up maybe an oil pan or something like that. But yeah, it's really close. I hope he makes it.
Dude.
So
You got to
I'll-
show me those pictures, Rob.
Yeah, I will.
work.
Actually,
Good
I think
work.
it's on his Facebook.
Is it? Okay.
Um, I'll reach out to him again. I got another couple weeks before our next event and see if he's going to make it. So I'm excited for that. Should be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But did you do an update, Ian, about your drift event?
I didn't make it. So because of my car being kind of
Kind of.
remember after
broken.
after episode 7,
Yeah.
I was planning on going to the drift event. I was driving it,
Yeah.
and I dropped a lifter.
That's
so
right.
I had to upgrade everything.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have to, but I chose to because
okay.
I was getting in there.
Is that
Yeah, I
you
knew-
pulled the motor? Is that what?
No, I didn't pull it.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't have to. Basically, I did. I touched on it in a previous episode, but I did camshaft, valves, valve springs, retainers, lifters, lifter trays, and head gaskets.
Okay. So I kind of wanted to dig into that. You
Okay.
know, as far as last show that I was on, we kind of touched on projects, and I want to do a little deeper dive rather than just say this is what I did.
Yeah.
What'd you run into? How hard was the project for somebody that's listening and wants to do the same thing? Like, what kind of process is that for you, and where do you get the information to make it happen and that kind of stuff?
So it was a big learning time for me when it dropped a lifter. The engine actually that I'm running came out of a auto 2011 Camaro.
Yeah.
And they were completely different from the factory that I really didn't know. I was always just like, it's an LS3. Well, it is an LS3, but it's called an L99 LS3. They only came in the autos.
Oh.
And it was kind of a parts bin car for Chevy. They were trying to get emissions or EPA miles per gallon shit with them. So what they did was they put a variable valve timing camshaft in it with a variable valve timing sensor, and they put these odd lifters in it. They had this totally weird thing where they'd kill detonation on 4 cylinders if you're on the highway going at like less than 2,000 RPMs, called detonation on demand.
Yeah.
And
I know they did that in some of the Suburbans.
Exactly. It was the same system.
Okay.
But, you know, this was still an aluminum 6.2 block. Well, it was total crap. They didn't do it right. Like, you know, when you talk about Toyotas, like VVT is awesome because you can get more power out of it. Just like VTEC and Honda's, like you can get bigger power, better fuel. Everything's better. Well, Chevy it was an afterthought. So basically, I found out my motor was one of these, and it did what they do, and it dropped a lifter. So when that happened, after all the research that me and my buddy Vinny did, who I'd love to bring on the show, he's working on a project right now, but I said, yeah, I can get in there and just replace it with the lifter and, you know, do some other things that I could do but you got to pull the heads off.
Yeah.
So if we're pulling the heads off, I'm like, you know what?
Might as well just do
I
it.
don't want VVT cam. I don't want the detonation on demand crap.
Yeah.
So I was just like, if I'm going to pull the heads off, I'm going to like do it right.
Yeah.
So what I did was, you know, there's a bunch of brands making cool stuff for like a DOD delete. Like you can piece it together through Brian Tooley Racing. You can do a few things. You know, there's many options. Like Comp Cams make some stuff. But all the results I found from the Texas Speed like group of people was like a little bit better results.
Mm-hmm.
And it was they sell a very comprehensive kit of everything you need.
Okay.
So, and the numbers were pretty good.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go with this. And I didn't do all the supporting mods that a lot of the guys like said I should do, but
Yeah.
they're like, if you do this, like it'll be pretty good.
Okay.
Because from the factory, the L99 LS3 only came with like 400 at the crank, and everybody said that was way like exaggerated. It wasn't what it was.
Oh,
actually
really?
Was. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they had to like detune it for all that crap, you know, like MPG and EPA emissions or whatever. There's a lot of different, you know, people saying different things about why they did it.
Mm-hmm.
But I put the bigger cam in there. I upgraded my fuel a little bit. I went with a Walbro 255. I left the injectors, but I have a pretty nice race trunks regulator, vacuum fed regulator. So it'll like, you know, make the fuel what it should be depending on throttle.
Gotcha.
And, you know, I went with pretty nice valves and valve springs and retainers and valve seats. Like I was like, if I'm going to take all that crap off, I'm just
Yeah.
going to do it.
Yeah.
And I fired it up even with the tune I had on before, and it worked fine.
Oh, nice.
It wasn't great. Like,
But it ran.
it ran. It
Yeah.
did run. It sounds great. But today I went to the dyno and tuned it up with a guy here named Tommy Wong. He runs Wong's Performance. He's been doing LS for 15 years.
Yep.
That's his that's his thing.
Yep.
He works alone. He's an older guy. He's really knowledgeable. I've tuned a car with him before, this car, but with my old motor. And, you know, we found some setbacks like you usually would.
Mm-hmm.
I have some exhaust leaks that he thinks are holding me back quite a bit. Bigger injectors would help me out quite a bit. But today it made 432 wheel and 418 torque
Nice.
at the wheels
Damn,
Yeah.
Nice.
in a, you know, 3,100 pound car.
Yeah. No, that's
So
really
it's a
cool.
monster.
Yeah,
it
430
runs
at the wheel
great.
is awesome.
Yeah, and
For what you're doing, it should be really good.
I never really like wanted that much. So
Oh,
like
yeah.
this is great. You
Yeah.
know, like I'm not planning on boosting or anything. Like I just want to now that it's tuned and I have no codes and it runs great.
Yeah.
I just want to finally drive it, dude.
So excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
That's
I drove
awesome.
it like 50 miles a day.
Yeah.
Just
Just
getting
driving
on it
it.
on the freeway,
Yeah.
you know, hitting little back
Feeling
roads.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can finally like not worry about it.
Sure. So, how does that? Because I'm not aware of how the variable valve timing physically works on the car. Like what?
So what that looked like was there was a plate on the front of the valve like retainer,
Okay.
and it had its own like inductor wheel. It was weird
Yeah.
on the LS. I didn't even know it was a thing, like I said. And it like read like a new inductor wheel, and there was a sensor that looked at that inductor wheel. And
How is
based
that
on
driven?
off the camshaft
It is,
itself.
okay.
Yeah. But then there was these crazy pistons and solenoids underneath the valve, like in the
In the valve
valley.
train?
No,
Yeah.
it was in the valley, like
Oh,
the
okay.
air intake valley.
Yeah.
That like blocked air intake, and then the computer would
basically
turn
just
off
shut 'em
cylinders.
off.
Yeah,
So then it shuts off the fuel to those as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just pumping nothing.
you're pumping nothing. There was literally barely any mile per gallon increase at all.
Oh yeah.
Like nothing.
So it's
it was
pointless.
negligible.
Yeah.
It was totally pointless.
Yeah.
And what it did was it created so much carbon buildup,
Oh man. Yeah.
especially on the lifters, that it would just
Bog it
dog
down.
them out.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's interesting that they decided that was a good idea. You shut off 4 of the 8 cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
Now the other 4 are going to have to work harder to maintain. So you're dumping more fuel into those.
Yes.
To actually maintain same speed.
Yep.
With all the weight, it doesn't work.
No, it didn't work. And they quickly backtracked on it. They only did it for Gen 4. They completely got out of there with the Gen 5 stuff.
Okay,
and
so
they're not going to bring it back with Gen 6.
Would you recommend, and this comes down to price, so an LS3 and L99 version of it with all the variable valve stuff, would you recommend buying one of those because you can get it cheaper?
So they're actually
and then doing the upgrades.
Unfortunately, they're not much.
They're not cheaper.
That's the thing. Like they're so close. Like my recommendation would be to anybody, like, get a manual car LS3 or get something out of a manual car if it's from the junkyard or whatever.
Yeah. Now,
if you can't, and you are getting a good deal on the L99 LS3, do it, because it's still better than like a L99 out of a truck, or a 6.2 out of a truck, because it still has all the right accessories on it. It still has the small intake.
Yeah.
It has all the things you need that can fit it in a small car like mine.
Sure.
So by the time you got a truck 6.2, an aluminum one, you'd still have to get a new intake. You'd have to get all new, accessories, all that stuff. So it would you'd spend your ass off doing it.
Sure. So what's the kit then to convert it, to get it out of the variable valve timing? What's that?
It's the Texas Speed makes it.
Right. I'm looking for more of the cost.
Camshaft. Oh, the cost.
Yeah.
Let me think here. So the full kit, like, shipped, I think was $1,600.
Okay.
With the camshaft.
Yeah.
Valve springs, valve retainers.
Yeah.
I bought valves on the side because the one that dropped the lifter had a little bit of damage.
Mm-hmm.
The piston looked fine, so we ran it. But I bought valves, so that was like another $300.
Yeah.
But if your stuff's like running, if you buy from the junkyard and you want to get rid of the VVT crap and just get rid of the DOD, you don't need to get valves.
Just buy the kit.
Just get the kit. Like $1,600 shipped.
And then what other? You were saying that there's other options that can probably boost horsepower. I'm getting.
Yeah.
So what are those?
Well, if your engine's running and you haven't had like a lift or drop or anything like that, a lot of guys will tell you don't have to do everything that I did. Like Richard Holdner, who's like a LS and Chevy motor guy on YouTube, he's got a whole show about doing a DOD delete and like everything else like on the cheap.
Okay.
So like I think he says like apply the block off plate. The Texas Speed kit I have comes with the block off plate. You ditch that whole solenoid system.
Yeah.
But he knows a way to do it for like super cheap. And then you just bypass the VVT that like the thing that sits there and reads. Like you can just leave that there and just plug in the cam sensor without that stupid sensor.
Gotcha. Yeah, it just takes it out of the system.
There's a way to do it.
Yeah.
Budget.
Yeah.
But I had already like gone down the rabbit hole and dropped the lifter. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not gonna.
Yeah, you went all the way.
Yeah,
and that's like, fine too. I'm kind of.
So my whole thing like cost probably like $2,000, which isn't really that bad.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Not for working on that.
Yeah, I mean, most people aren't going to get, I saw a lot of L99 LS3 numbers on the dyno with guys with the Camaros, the auto Camaros, and they were making like 360 wheels, so I'm sitting pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's basically an like a true LS3 now.
Yeah, for sure. No, I like that a lot. That's really cool. So on those same lines of the swap that you did, and I know you had an LS in there before.
I did, yeah.
But how did you, what transmission are you running?
So I'm still running the T56 that came out of a 02 Camaro SS.
Okay.
So
right.
when
you didn't have an issue adapter plate or anything. You just went straight to the T56, and then just driveline adaptation to the to the rear.
Yeah. What's nice about the Gen 4 LS, you can still use a T56.
Yeah.
And I had so many guys saying like, you need to do a different weird clutch setup, all this crap. No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, I just got an LS3 clutch out of a Camaro and it works just fine.
That was my other question. Are you running a stock clutch setup, or did you get aftermarket?
It's a McLeod.
Okay.
It's a McLeod Stage 2 clutch.
Yeah.
It's a single disc, but it's like they're like ceramic.
Sure.
It's a killer clutch. It freaking rocks.
Yeah.
And then I'm just using the AC Delco throwout bearing.
Yeah.
I did find an issue though when I went to this clutch. When I first put the clutch and transmission together, it all bolted up, but my previous master cylinder wasn't pushing in the clutch enough. Mm-hmm. So I was finding kind of grinding into gears and all this stuff, and I was really
Wouldn't
worried.
engage. Yeah.
I was like, maybe my transmission's bad. Like,
Mm-hmm.
The reality is I just needed to get a bigger bore. And I had other people tell me you need a smaller bore master because it'll create more pressure.
No.
When in reality, it's not.
No, you want to push it further.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
if it has the throw. The other option is put a spacer plate behind it.
Yes, and I was reading about that too. But to do that in my car, I'd have to pull the motor and transmission again. So that's the thing about putting this giant motor in the. Yeah, anybody considering putting a massive V8 into a small Japanese car, there are things that you can't do that other cars can do. Based on what me and my friends have looked at, like you cannot just take the transmission out in the car.
Yeah, it just doesn't. There's not enough room to maneuver it.
Yeah, because we had to massage the transmission tunnel just to make the T56 fit.
Yep.
So,
I'm surprised though the T56, like your shifter lined up and everything, or did you have to do some?
It lined up really well.
Yeah.
The kit that a company called Dedicated Motorsports used to sell a swap kit to for this chassis, and that's actually how they started their company. Now they're huge.
Yeah.
And they actually just announced like a month ago that they're not going to sell it anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like the demand's not there, and it's just not really worth it.
Sure.
So it's going to be pretty rare here soon.
Yeah.
But he designed it to where like the mounts kind of sat a little further back, so it pushed the motor back as close as you could get it to the firewall.
Okay.
Which helps for weight too.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically I only had to trim like a 1/2 inch off my shifter hole.
Oh, put it
to
right
make
in
it
there.
all work. Yeah.
Nice.
And then I had a custom drive shaft made from Excessive.
Yeah.
Here locally, that company I was telling you about earlier.
Yep.
They'll make a drive shaft and a single piece drive shaft for pretty much any car.
Oh,
so that was and the headers from that original kit, because I just had a stock LS1 in the car before. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, that's, this LS3 swap should be pretty easy. I ran into a lot of issues, obviously, but the header still worked. The mount still worked.
You were able to use the headers off the LS1 on the 3.
Everything worked.
So you're using just the stock type headers, not long tube?
No, they're long tube.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, the swap kit that Dedicated sold for this car was really cool. They were ceramic coated.
Oh, nice.
He specifically designed them for this car. My steering shaft actually runs through the runners.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's the only way it fits.
Oh, wow.
Because it's like when I opened the hood today at Tommy Wong's shop, he's like, this one fits worse than the last one. I'm like, it does. Yes. He's like, this is the tightest fit I've ever seen. Like,
wow.
There's just not a lot of room to work with once you put this type of... But the IS really didn't have a lot of room in general. The front end is very small compared to the rest of the car. Yeah. So... but it all fits and it all works. It's a little tighter to work on. We're not talking like 90s 300 ZX tight, but it's still pretty tight. Yeah. Like when I swapped the motor and I pulled the transmission out, I left that driver's side header in because I didn't want to take the steering shaft out. I just left it in there.
Well, I mean, if there's room to maneuver around it, yeah, fair enough. Yeah. So would you recommend doing that to random car project guy? I mean, that's a big deal, right? People listen, they're like, I don't know, maybe I could do that.
Random project guy or junior project guy?
The random project guy. Just the random guy.
So the end result is killer.
Absolutely.
So it's like, I have this car that's very quick. I have a 410 diff in the back. Like it's pretty freaking fast. Yeah. And the whole vibe of it, like when somebody sees that car, they don't think it's going to have a big American V8. Yeah. So it's like the wow factor's there. But, you definitely, it's a big investment.
It is.
Yeah, like
not
it's
only
gonna
money but
cost you-
time.
Yeah, time and money, and just you're gonna run into issue after issue.
Yeah.
like there's a lot of chassis that are easier to put a V8 in.
Sure.
Like if you like a 240 SX, there are so many companies making swap kits for that car, and the motor, the engine bay was way bigger.
It was.
It was so much bigger.
Oh, yeah.
People put all
There's a lot of
kinds
room in
motors.
there.
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
do anything you want, and the aftermarket support was there. Well, with the IS, like you kind of got to carry the cross. Like there's a lot of things that you're gonna have to figure out, and the community's not big, so like
Yeah.
you're not gonna get the answers on Google.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, how popular is putting a LS in a IS300?
Well, when I did this swap, initially started, it was 2019 when I did the LS1 and the LSXs, which is what we call the community now. There's a Facebook page,
Sure.
and the community back then there was like 15 of us,
Okay.
and one was including Matt, who did the initial swap, who runs Dedicated Motorsports. So it was so small, and I was asking all these questions, and I was getting a lot of help best they could, but they were doing it a little differently,
Yeah.
Whereas now on the LSX's page, there's like 45 to 5,000 members.
Oh, okay. So that's pretty large community, actually.
After COVID,
Yeah.
in like 2021 to 2022, it really popped off. We
Sure.
saw huge growth, and I had people messaging me left and right, like, how'd you do this? I saw your post from 2019. Like, how'd you do this? How'd you do this? And I'm always down to help anybody do this swap, because it is still a simple swap. Like, wiring is so simple.
Yeah.
It takes nothing.
What ECU did you use?
I've always ran the stock GM ECUs.
Okay.
I don't use Holly.
Yeah, so
I mean,
whatever-
Holly's cool. Like,
Yeah.
I love all the guys that run it.
Yeah,
They have
yeah.
more control, whatever. But on the LS1, I ran the stock PCM. On my LS3, stock PCM.
Just the one right
'Cause it
out of
works.
the Camaro that came from it?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, because, with HP tuners, you can do it all.
Yeah.
And, it's still simple. Like, the wiring harness I could change a wiring harness out in 30 minutes
Nice.
if I had to.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Yeah.
Not saying like everybody has to, but if you want my opinion of it, the cheapest way to do the swap is to use the stock PCM and a standalone harness off eBay.
Okay.
The LS1 I had before, I literally bought a $150 harness off eBay
Yeah.
and had a guy, take off some certain things to make it run, like the immobilizer that was gone.
Yep.
But I didn't modify the motor at all. And that is super cheap, easy, simple way to do it.
Okay.
So anybody doing an LS swap, I would highly recommend the stock PCM, unless you're boosting it or doing something crazy.
Yeah.
Then a Holly or like a Terminator or a Link ECU would probably be, you get more control.
I've heard about the Link. Like, I guess that one is very customizable and easy to use.
Yeah, we touched on it last episode with Monia
Okay.
because he's very familiar with it, and all those guys at Excessive are too. And the way they've explained it is basically like compared to a Haltech. Like Haltech, you can't like test things. You can't you can't inject, see if your sensor's talking back, see if your injector's working. You can't just turn it off and on with the computer. Whereas the Link, you can do all that before you ever turn on the engine. You can
I remember
see
hearing you talk.
Everything's
Yeah,
working.
I listened to that, and you were saying, so you're injecting it. He didn't get it. That's an
Yeah.
elevator term, so
It
I
is.
got it. I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly.
It
what
is
he's
an
doing.
elevator engine, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what he's doing.
Yeah, it's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I talked to him a little bit after the show too, but he's like, yeah, basically he's worked with a bunch of ECUs, and I've talked to other people about this. Link is the only one that has the ability to do that. So it's like IMS.
That's
for
pretty
us.
cool. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, with the Chevy PCM, for what it was, like, it's very tunable.
Yeah.
And it doesn't like Toyota. Like, I'm a Toyota guy. Growing up with Toyota PCMs, you couldn't run their PCMs. You can't. Like,
They're not.
even if you try to tune them, they'll fight back and
Gotcha.
change it back.
Yeah.
And that was by design. And I know Nissan's a little different, and the Honda guys have a way to do it. So do the Subaru guys. But the Chevy stuff, man, you can tune anything on those.
Well, up to a point. I mean, it's getting harder now.
Oh yeah, with
They'll
the LT
crack
stuff.
the code
yeah,
eventually, but yeah.
Yeah, with the LT with the Gen 5 stuff, I really don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
But with Gen 3 and Gen 4,
Yeah.
totally doable.
Yeah.
And that's why I chose to run it, because it's simple.
Yep. No, I like that. What would would you recommend, but what kind of pitfalls did you find going through that process of swapping over to an LS, not just the LS1, but even going to your LS3, you know, like kind of stuff should you be looking out for?
I'll be honest, the LS1 swap was much easier.
Really?
Gen 3 in general. Yeah.
Oh.
And they're, you know, they work just fine, but you're not going to get as much power out of it, you know.
Yeah, right.
So if you're chasing power, it's like Gen 4s are going to be a lot better. But let me try to think here. But there was a lot more issues than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to be able to pop the Gen 4 in there and it just worked.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, I already got an LS in there. It shouldn't be hard.
Yeah.
And just go right in.
Mechanically, that's true.
Yeah.
But I bought a cheap EBA harness just like the first time I did on the LS1. It didn't work.
Yeah.
So I had to buy a pretty nice harness, you know, just because I wanted to rule that out.
Right.
So I bought a nice PSI harness with, you know, snake skin cover. That was $1,000. And then other things like the lifter drop, because I didn't know about the DOD and stuff, you know, it's like all those things. Well, the Gen 3s really didn't have those issues. Like if you get an LS1, LS2, or LS6, I wouldn't recommend an LS2, by the way. But an LS1 or an LS6,
yeah,
man, those things rock.
Okay.
You can throw that in a Japanese car like mine and rock the factory PCM, cheap eBay harness, and it'll run and just run.
Nice.
Obviously, exhaust is going to be an issue. If there's not a swap kit for whatever car somebody's putting into it, you're going to have to build custom headers.
Sure.
Headers are the biggest thing that people have to overcome with exhaust for, you know, putting in a small Japanese car.
Right.
So if there's not a kit, expect to spend probably $1,500 to $2,000 on custom headers from somebody.
Yeah. It's part of the deal.
It's part of the deal. Yeah, it's not going to be cheap. Everybody's like, well, how much did it cost you? Like, how much far are you into this car? I'm like,
dude,
$25,000 probably.
Yeah, right.
Now,
project cars are not cheap.
No, not if you want them to be, you know,
right,
cool and powerful and reliable and look good too.
Right.
But power steering, I battled with a lot on this car because the Lexus rack is only rated for like 800 psi, and all the Chevy stuff is like 1400 psi.
So are you running pulleys then on that, or are you running electric pump?
I'm still running the GM pumps.
Okay.
But I tried to like just say, you know, because there's been so much. I've read so much shit on the internet where people are like, it's fine. I ran it and blew a pump.
Sure.
Blew a rack.
Yeah.
And then I, you know, tried reducing the like line size. I'd read somebody told me to do, and that didn't work. But you can just reduce the pump itself. You get a little more.
The pump or the pulley?
The pump.
Huh.
So what's cool about them is if you take it off the inlet, the main inlet for the high pressure side, there's like a stack of washers underneath the inlet thing.
Yeah.
You just add a few more.
Really?
Yeah, there's a kit, and it took me years to find this out, but
just add
somebody
some
was
washers.
like, just reduce the pump. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, oh yeah, get this kit. It's a Borgenson reducing kit. I'm like, what? And it worked.
How does it?
I'll show you. It's pretty cool. It basically restricts the inlet.
Yeah, because it sounds like you're just backing it out, but there must be something else that goes in there to restrict the size of the.
And it's not. I mean,
port.
It's easy to install. No, it doesn't restrict the size of the port. It's weird. It's just it's just a little stack of washers.
Okay.
Makes it longer.
Yeah, it makes it longer. So I don't know how.
Kind of like a baffle.
Yeah, I don't know how it actually works.
Yeah.
But I put it in. The pump's a little louder now, but I have not had any issues, and it feels fine.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
So, but power steering, you'll see people talk about LS swaps on cars, and they're always talking about power steering issues.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's different, right? Depending on what your rack is rated for, and
aren't rated for 1400 psi.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So almost every car you're going to put these cars into, if you just put the pump in and run it how it is, you're gonna blow shit up.
You run into issues because the mechanical pumps run off of a belt. Mm-hmm. They increase pressure, obviously, as they go faster, right? So when you start tracking a car or racing stuff at high RPM, you run into issues. So that is sometimes you have to have those racks rebuilt, built for higher pressure, put a smaller pulley on it so you're not building that pressure. There's all kinds of different things you can do.
Yeah. And there's a company called Turn One.
Yep.
And they make some really nice steering pumps.
Yes, they do.
And they'll make it for LS, like GM hookup, Honda, Toyota. Mm-hmm. Like they make them incredible pumps, but most people don't want to spend that kind of money. They're like $600 to $800.
Right.
And I was looking at them too. I'm like, oh, this is a perfect solution, but I didn't really want to spend that much money at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I wish I did now, because I ran I blew up 2 stock pumps and 1 rack.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I still think that a constant pressure pump, like just go electric, eliminate the whole thing if you can. Then you've got less drag on your motor to begin.
Absolutely. It's like Monia would 100% agree with you, and other friends of mine they've said the same thing. They've been running electric for years, and they've had great success with it.
Sure. Yep.
I just don't have any experience with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, I love the idea of one less accessory on the motor.
Yep.
I've just never done it, but I've seen more and more people doing it now.
Yeah. I think the electric pumps have gotten better too. Like the quality is better. You're running into less issues because obviously that thing runs all the time.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good option.
Sense.
Yeah.
Oh, I do too.
So I don't know. That kind of plays into something else I was thinking about. Your aftermarket parts when you're doing a build, not just where you get them, whether you buy it online, you buy it at a shop, you buy it at a specialty motorsports place, or I don't know where else you can get it. You buy it from the junkyard, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a preference? I'm sure it depends on what you're shopping for.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. I've kind of been all over the board with my car. My differentials out of a 2014 BRZ. Mm-hmm. I bought that at a junkyard for next to nothing with 20,000 miles.
Yeah.
And it was a huge upgrade. Massive upgrade for the car.
Yeah.
Learned that one online, in the community.
Sure.
But no, I truly prefer to buy parts in person from somebody that manufactures them. I think anybody would say that.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been lucky enough that a lot of my parts on my car come from a company called Excessive Manufacturing based in Southwest Portland here. And they design their own parts and they manufacture their own parts and they test their own parts.
We should get them on the show.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. That'd be good to talk to somebody like that.
Yeah.
I think you're right, especially the project guys. Like, if we can possibly actually talk to somebody about, is this going to work? Is this the right part for my application? This is what I'm doing with the car. Is it going to hold up?
And people with experience.
Yeah.
Because they tested the parts.
Hopefully.
And
some of the fly-by-night shit that's out there now that I'm not so sure.
Absolutely. I've dealt with that.
Yeah.
I've had rear arms that I'm like, this crap,
Yeah.
And then they don't even make them anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas Excessive, with the rear control arms I'm running on my upper side, they have like a Gen 4 now or a Gen 3 because they know that they needed to make improvements.
Yeah.
I respect when people just can continue to try something new and improve
upgrade it
upon
as it goes. Yeah.
And that's my preferred way to buy parts. But if the community comes together and says, "Hey, this part's worth buying," I'm willing to go out on a limb with it.
If it's got good reviews, because community can be rough on stuff, they will freaking shoot it down if it's no good.
Well, thank God. I feel like since COVID, the reviews have been a lot more honest.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more companies having to do reviews.
Yeah.
So it's yes, I agree. I think reviews are a kind of part of what I was just getting at.
Sure.
Reviews and the community. What are people saying about it? Because parts
I think you get more honest reviews in forums than you do. You're looking up a part on somebody's website and you click on the reviews and you're reading through and you're like, this review is not even for the same part.
Exactly.
What the
bro.
fuck is
I was
this?
just gonna say that.
It drives me insane. I'm like, this is a joke, you know? Yeah, I've
100% agree. Nothing infuriates me more,
5-star reviews for the wrong part.
and it's a $1,200 part. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna buy this.
Yeah.
Unless
so you got to go
for this part. I want to hear like John from fucking Ohio is saying like this part worked for my car and it's working for 2,000 miles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's funny. I feel like it's kind of by design.
Oh, they're totally doing that on purpose.
Yeah, they're just like, well, just whatever. Just
We'll
put
just fake
some
it.
review on there. Yeah, fake it.
Yep.
At least if you were buying it on Amazon, you could go and look at the different reviews.
Oh yeah.
And
I've seen that on
somebody's-
Amazon though.
Yeah, I have too.
I've totally seen that on Amazon. It's not even the same part.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. They're talking about something totally different.
Interesting.
Yeah, you got to watch that.
And a lot of them are like sponsored buyers. They'll give them the part.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they want them to write this
review.
badass
We'll give
review,
you
and it's not even like it's biased.
It's so bullshit.
It is bullshit, and you see it a lot.
That's why I prefer to go outside of like whoever's selling it. I want to talk to somebody on a forum or, even just Google it and you'll find a Yelp review or something,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree.
It's
because it's especially like a chassis like yours, Rob. I find there's so many manufacturers.
Dude.
There's so many people doing that.
Yeah. And you're like, I have never heard of this company and they're selling this, that, or the other. And you're just like, what? Where did this come from?
Yeah,
They're fly by the seat of their pants.
and they just
popped up out of somewhere.
or they're probably a copy of another pretty nice part.
Yeah.
Because we've seen that a lot too with the LSIS community, the LSXs stuff.
Yeah.
People will pop up and they'll be selling mounts and they'll sell, this and that, and everybody will call them out like, you're just copying parts and making them cheaper and pieces of shit. Like,
Yeah. There's no quality control.
there's no quality control.
The inferior, metals and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Thinner
It's
gauge
scary.
metal. Yeah.
It's scary shit. I would much prefer to buy a more expensive, higher quality, proven part
Me too.
than, skimp on something and have it break.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
if
Because then you're
you
doing it
were
twice.
A legitimate builder of parts, like parts manufacturer, wouldn't you want the honest review? Like,
Yes.
if that part's a piece of shit, tell me it's a piece of shit so I can fix it.
Well, most would. Yeah, I agree. But these, half-ass parts companies.
Like the China knockoff.
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Right.
No, they're
Yeah.
trying to make a buck.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, I can make that with cheaper metal.
Yeah.
I got 1,000 of them for sale.
Yeah.
But yes,
Cost me $1 each.
I just read about this company called like Fast Mavericks today. When the new Ford Maverick truck was made, like they offered all these products, and basically like they were killing it. Everybody like loved them, but then they had like bad reviews or something like that, and now they like owe a ton of people money. They never shipped them,
Oh, man.
and I think they kind of blew up bigger than what they ever thought they would.
Really? People
Yeah.
were like all over it, huh?
Yeah, I just read it on the Drive today.
Huh.
That website, the Drive.
Yeah.
Now they have like a ton of people, and even the people on the like forums are still like kind of backing them up, even though they have
Was their product
30
any
people.
good?
Yeah, no, the products
It
are
was
great.
good.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
think they just keep getting bigger because like
Just
those are
exploding.
getting more popular, and
Yeah.
they don't want to say like, oh, we can't do this, and we'll refund the money. But I feel like you'll see that a lot on, people want to make their love their business, and then they can't keep up, and so
They're
they don't,
not
they don't
ready.
want to admit fault. Like they
Sure.
don't want to admit like they can't do this. I've seen it too with.
They grow too fast.
I saw it with another drift car parts company, and I'm not going to name them, but it was owned by a professional drifter, and he made good parts. I have a couple of his parts on my car, but it just got too big too fast, and he eventually just like it bombed
yeah.
because
Just couldn't keep up.
Just couldn't keep up.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Especially when they do come out with something that's really good, and it just explodes. It's like you want to be able to keep up, but that's expensive too.
Well,
Like you
the
need capital.
Scalability is hard.
Super hard. Absolutely, it is.
Yeah, and because they've convinced themselves, like, oh, we'll get the order out next week. We'll catch up in the next month, and then they don't.
Snowballs.
And it snowballs because they're still getting new orders. They're still taking the money. They're still balancing and checking those numbers.
Yep.
But they're so far behind.
Yeah, never catch up. Yeah, and then people start complaining, and then the reputation goes downhill because you can't provide.
And they're probably good guys.
Probably.
They're, that wasn't their intention.
Not at all.
They wanted to make their passion their, in career.
Right. Yeah.
But it just doesn't always work that way.
No, it doesn't. No.
Especially if you rise and you don't incorporate more people in your thing for help and logistics and all that stuff, and you just try to stack and make money, and it's crazy.
Yep. So what's your next mod for your car? What's the next?
Let me think here. Honestly, there's not much I want to do as far as power adders or drivetrain mods. I want to adjust my alignment a little bit. I aligned it based on how one friend said I should do it, and then now I want to do it a little differently. I have it set up for drift. I want it a little more streetable.
Okay.
But
you aligning on the garage floor?
No.
Yeah.
I just got turned on to a new alignment shop. I'm going to go try them out because the last one I used, I'm not going to name them either. I had tons of great reviews. A bunch of people told me to go there, and it's already out, and I've driven it 500 miles. Maybe.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it sucks, but whatever. Shit happens.
Yeah.
So I want to just better set up my alignment, and I'm just ready to drive it, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I got tires. I got
get out there and go.
Yeah.
Nice.
As far as, let me think here. Oh, okay. Yeah, I do have a mod. My exhaust worked really well with the LS1, but now that I put the LS3 in, it definitely changed a little bit.
Yeah.
And I've just ran the same one, so I do have some exhaust leak. My tuner today was like, you definitely are leaking exhaust. We could get more power if you didn't have these.
Interesting.
So I'm going to do a custom exhaust.
Yeah.
Just kind of rework it.
Yeah.
Because there are some leaks, and it's pretty annoying.
You're running 2.5?
It's a 3-inch.
It's 3?
Yeah. It's
all the way back?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have, two into one.
Oh, okay.
Pipe.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because I wanted to keep it as close to the factory tunnel as I could. So
keep it tight.
So I can keep it low.
Yeah.
Keep the car low enough and not just drag everywhere.
Sure.
So definitely exhaust. I want to rework the exhaust.
All right.
Yeah.
You got a shop in mind for that also?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to shout him out. My buddy Joel at Magic City. He's a badass welder. Magic City Garage in Gresham. I'm friends with all those guys.
Sweet.
But we were talking about it this weekend too. I played golf with him on Sunday and coming up with ideas. And he's got some solutions. He knows what he's doing. So
yeah, nice.
Pretty affordable too.
Good.
Yeah.
Actually, I wouldn't mind getting one of those guys on if they know how to tune an exhaust for your application. That would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, more or less. I've been fighting my V bands, and I love how easy V bands are, but I've had nothing but problems. When after wear and tear, drifting. If I drop tire on a track and I bash my exhaust, it changes the angle of the V band. So then I get an exhaust leak. Yeah. So there's a fitting or something, a different exhaust coupler called a Marmon fitting. I don't know if you've heard of it. I just found out about it. Yeah. It's a little more. It's a lot more positive. There's an inside fit. Yeah. And it's still a clamp over style.
Oh, it does clamp? Okay.
Yeah. But it's spherical on the edges, so it can change a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
but it still has a positive seal.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm looking for. I just want it to be sealed up and quieter.
Cool. Yeah. Why don't they? Maybe you don't know, but why don't they use more bolt together? My Nissan was bolt together front to back. Yeah. And I really liked it because when you had to work on it, man, it was so nice.
The factory IS was, but I kind of had to work with what I had because when I bought the headers from Dedicated, they were V-band. Yeah. And like I said, I love the idea of V-band. I've used them on turbo applications before. Yeah. But I've never ran it on exhaust, to be honest with you. It was always intercooler piping. And turbo.
Yeah.
So I guess it wasn't exhaust, but it all worked like it should.
Yep.
Whereas, like, you know, exhaust on a drift car, it's like you're going to bang shit up.
Yeah.
So it's going to change.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like the right
No, it's not. There's
it.
got to be a better way.
Sure.
So
That's cool. Well, slight update on mine. I don't have a whole lot, but my Corvette, I bought the transaxle mounts from AMT. I have not put them in yet, but I'm going to do that this weekend so I can run it for the last event in September. Everything else has been done, though, and it's working so good. I'm so happy with my car this year.
I love that.
I'm super happy.
I love when it's just working.
Yeah. That's been really a highlight of this season's racing is the car has just been on point all year, and I'm just like stoked with it.
Yeah.
So that's really fun. Looking forward to seeing if I can feel a difference with the mounts. He says it gets rid of a little bit of sway in the back, which I don't really notice, but maybe you put the new ones in, you'll be like, oh, there it is. That's what it is.
I noticed that a lot.
Yeah.
All my friends told me to put these arms in, do this, and that, and I was like, it runs pretty good. And they're like, no, do it. And I have noticed a major difference.
Yeah. I definitely noticed all the poly bushings and everything, just really planted everything, and
control.
Oh my gosh. So good.
I know.
Yeah.
I have all poly too. I love it.
Yeah.
And really mine are a little squeaky in the front.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
The trade-off.
Absolutely. Well, that's something else I want to talk about too, is like your trade-off for streetability for those that want their street car still versus track. My car is dedicated race car, so I really don't care about streetability. But like, where do you land on that? Do you... Everybody's opinion is different on this for sure.
What I think is probably going to happen to everybody if they're serious about like doing a motor swap in a car, like eventually, like it's just going to naturally divulge into a dedicated track car.
Yeah. Just go full.
It always has for me. I've told myself it won't be that way this time.
Yeah.
With all these cars that I've built, and every single time it comes to a position where it's like with my car now, like after I tuned it today, like it's a totally different thing. You know, it's like on decel it pops. Like it's a loud car. It's the alignment's meant for track. Like, you know, I like driving it, but it's definitely a track car now.
Yeah.
Like I'll drive it to events like car shows and stuff.
Okay.
I'm not driving that thing across the country.
No. God, no.
With the last motor swap, I probably would have.
Yeah.
With the stock motor. And like I didn't have all the poly stuff in the rear.
Sure.
I had like mostly stock arms. And, you know, it was just more of like a cruiser.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was pretty stock when I put the LS1
once you start going down that track path.
Yeah, and once you do like all adjustable arms on the front and the rear, all poly on the front and the rear, you know, stiffer springs, like everything just culminates into a point where you're like, this is no longer...
It's not a street car anymore.
I would never daily this.
Right. No. I mean...
So I feel like everybody might do that if, you know, if they just obsess over it, I guess.
Well, yeah, once you start heading down that path, you're just like, oh, well, what if I do that? Well, I could do this too. And then I could do that. Yeah. And then pretty soon, you don't have a street car anymore.
I feel like there is a compromise.
But I think that's okay.
I do too. Yeah. I think that is okay too, because hopefully by that time you've already been driving something else.
Well, yeah. And it gets to the point like you're building this car and it just gets better and better for what you want to use it for.
Yeah.
And that just makes it even more fun. So I'm like, fuck yeah, go deep, man. Do the whole thing.
Every mod I've done on my car is to do what I do better, you know, to try to drift it better and feel it better. Like I went up a few years ago to Villains track in Walla Walla. It's a drift track. And the guy there that is like the main dude was like, you need to drive faster. You need to drive faster. I'm like, I can't drive faster. Like, he's like, yes, you can, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, these are the mods you need to do to drift faster. Because like when you had a ton of angle, camber in the rear, you're not getting as much traction.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't have the grip set up, like you're not going to get enough speed and drift. And now that I have it, it's like I have to like relearn how to drift because it is so much faster.
Really?
Yeah. I have way bigger tires in the rear now. No camber in the rear. No toe in the rear.
No, really?
No, it's all zero.
Oh. Damn.
in the back because
Yeah.
I want as much grip as I can get.
Just because the extra horsepower, is that what's...
Yeah, basically.
yeah.
But if you have a ton of grip, like you have more control.
Sure.
But the thing is, your car is going to go faster. It's going to drift faster too.
Yeah.
So you have to like
Speed-wise,
accommodate for that.
Okay. What kind of camber do you run in the front?
It's quite a bit. It's like 5 degrees.
Okay.
And the only reason why is because I've only done tension rods or adjustable, basically adjustable tension rods and more steering angle with knuckles in the front. I've kept everything else stock.
Really?
And so when you lower the car, that's just the natural amount of camber you get.
Yeah.
But it helps in drifting because it looks like it's heavy camber. It's when it's just driving, but when you full
angles,
lock, when you go full steering lock, they flatten out.
Yeah.
So you're getting full contact patch on the front too.
Right. So you run tow?
Yeah.
How much do you run?
It's like freaking 1 degree up front.
Okay.
Positive.
Yeah. Pretty light.
It is light for a drift car. Yeah. Like I said, I still like to drive it on the street, but it's a little jumpy.
Grabs everything.
Yeah, a little bit.
Sure.
But it feels great when you're sideways.
Yeah, that's what it's built for.
And that's it. That's what I'm saying. It's like, there's a compromise to be made if it's like a street car and stuff like that. But I say go all in too. Build a dedicated track car.
I'm with you. Like, I get the halfway thing. Like, you're dipping your toe in, right? It's like, well, I can street it and I can track it sometimes and this and that. But man, if you get serious about it, if you really want to have fun, I say build it. Oh yeah, just build it. Go.
Me too.
So that's kind of like that plays into, what was it? Resto mod versus original. If you're gonna do, and this is kind of a hypothetical. If you're gonna do a car, if you're gonna do a project car, we'll just call it a project car. What do? Like, I get that there's a case for both sides because you got to ask yourself, what am I going to do with this car? What's it worth to me? Because if you would ask Grant that, he is all about it's got to be original. Mm-hmm. And personally, it drives me insane.
Me too.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
If I'm going to build something, I'm going to build it for what I want, right?
Yeah.
And like I had the idea when I had my 1964 Ford F-150 or F-100 four-wheel drive. I wanted to basically do a body swap onto a Dodge Cummins.
Oh, wow.
And then I wanted to do a more modern interior.
Okay.
But I wanted the gauge cluster to look old.
Interesting.
So, I mean, that to me would have been very retro, mod.
Resto mod.
Resto mod.
Yeah. Some of it's modernized, some of it's not.
Yeah.
I like the idea of an older vehicle with modern interior.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I like that.
I wanted to be able to get in it and drive it to Idaho for hunting season.
And be comfortable.
Yeah. And not have a spring up my asshole. You know what I mean?
Bouncing on that.
For me, it's like I've never, I like all original cars, especially like that, that AC Crowbar. I think that's freaking awesome. Mm-hmm. But for me, I've always been a bigger fan of modified cars.
Yeah.
When especially trick nice ones, like some, if you know a car well enough and you can look at it and go, oh, those, like they did crazy body work there, or they did crazy other stuff there. I love body swap cars. Like they'll take an old body put it on a modern chassis. And make it look very good. Mm-hmm. I am always going to go resto mod, because performance. For me, it always comes down to performance and looks.
Me too. I'm right there with you. I feel like if I want to make it better. I don't mind a stock car, but I look at it and go, what can I do to make that better? Mm-hmm. How can I make that handle better, stop better, go faster, look better?
Yes, and it's funny because you'll hear people say well, that's how they designed it. Yeah, that's how they designed it in the 70s.
Right.
We have such better
so much technology. Let's make this thing awesome.
Yeah, let's modernize it a bit, and make it just a better car.
Yeah.
In every way.
Yeah.
People that are oh, it's not original motor or it's not an original car. I don't care.
No.
I've never.
So argue the other side. What is the argument for being pristine stock?
I mean, on one hand, it's like unmolested,
Yep.
I guess. So you know that nobody's like done any weird shit to it.
Right.
Like, there'll always be a way to steel man it. Whereas they'll talk about like value.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these purists,
I know,
and you see with like the Ferrari guys, like the Porsche guys, and even the muscle car guys. They're like,
you've devalued it. If you've
devalued it.
It's
It's not it's not a good investment anymore.
And I'm like, yeah, it's got drum brakes.
4-wheel drum brakes.
Yeah. Did I devalue it by putting better brakes on it?
I mean, it's
Whatever,
crazy.
bro.
But yeah, they're like, well, that's not the code that it came with. Based on the VIN number, the code's wrong now. It's
And you're like,
I don't.
when I bought the car, it didn't have the original motor, so that didn't matter.
If you were a collector,
yeah,
I get it, I guess. But like, what really kind of, and I don't know, what really kind of bothers me is the people that like restore it back to stock.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the real weird people to me.
The real weird ones.
If you're gonna put a brand new set of drum brakes on it,
oh man,
and do like a nut and bolt restoration,
on
a 60s car, it's
and I think
bizarre.
the funny thing about that, taking a modified car, somebody. Maybe they put it on the drag strip. They did some light mods so that they could do that or whatever. Somebody buys it out of their barn and they want to put it back to stock. It doesn't make it worth more.
No.
It's been modified.
Right.
It may be put back to stock, but those are not original parts.
No.
It doesn't make it worth more. So is that a fun car to drive now? No, it's horrible.
They were terrible.
Yeah. So
suspension was crap.
I'm with you. I'm all about the resto mods. I think they're awesome.
How are you supposed to put something back to
People
stock?
do it.
Yeah.
Well, no. Let me.
Yes.
So let's say you buy a car.
Okay.
And you're driving it, right? And you fucking pitch one of the pistons out of the side of the block, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The block's
seen it happen.
The block is toast.
Yeah.
Now you got to do something, right? Well, there's so many different engines out there that
it's not numbers matching anymore.
No,
Right.
never will be.
Right.
And even if you go and find one out of a similar car,
Yeah.
it's not necessarily
Even
gonna be numbers matching.
one that had the exact same code spec, right? You take the motor out of that, it was exactly the same spec as the car that you had. Still not numbers matching.
The purest.
Yeah, it's got the right motor, it's got the right era, all that stuff. Who fucking cares?
I know. It's like, are you just going to scrap the whole thing now?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's how they think. I
know.
swear. I've talked to people that feel that way. They're like, oh,
it's not
useless.
worth anything.
You probably can't even find the gasket kit for that piece of shit anymore. Go buy an LS motor.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And just the reliability and power. It's like,
So we need to have an intervention with Grant. With his,
I think it was kind of his upbringing with his family.
I'm sure it has something
I think
to
it
do
has
with
something
that.
to do with that.
It has
It's like
something to do with the exotics that
where
they
I
have in
grew
there,
up with
which
like
I
a guy,
kind
a
of
dad.
get that.
I grew up with a dad that modified everything he had.
Oh,
With bikes, cars, all of it. So
Yeah.
it's like I was always like more interested in the custom stuff, I guess.
yeah.
And my dad was my real dad was more of a purist.
Mm-hmm.
My stepdad, I think, would have modded anything.
Exactly.
So
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up around people that modified stuff for bigger power, more,
I was never, as a kid, around it much. My dad worked on stuff when he had to.
Mhm.
It was not
Out of
about
necessity.
Yeah, it was not about fun or anything. I mean, he actually did a few project cars with a friend of his. Like, he was the finance of buy the car, and his buddy would fix them up, and then they'd resell.
Sure.
And I saw some cool cars that way.
Oh, I bet.
But he was never really the hands-on guy. That, I think, really just came from me. I was always into stuff with motors, go-karts and bikes. And, since I was able to crawl, probably,
Yeah.
I was into that kind of stuff. Ooh, I did see I'm going to share this with everybody, this cool little social media thing. It said, how can you expect a kid that grew up with Hot Wheels to grow up and only have one car?
Seriously.
right.
Because all car guys played with Hot Wheels, and they probably had 100 of them.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Don't expect me to only have one car. Not
No.
going to happen.
I probably have 100 of them left at my grandma's.
Sorry, that was total side tangent.
No, it's true, though.
But yeah, pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know. That for me, it didn't come from being around it as a kid, I kind of just came into it my own. I was just always interested in it.
Yeah, I mean, my dad never did anything on the level that I've been doing it on.
Yeah.
But he'd always he had like a 71 Malibu when I was real young.
Ooh, nice.
And he had, it was a 327 car. It was freaking badass. It was a 4-speed. And then he had a 79 Camaro Z28. Like, he always had something. And then he had a bunch of Harleys that he was always fucking with and upgrading with his friends.
Yeah.
So it's like I saw him always being like, no, got to, more power. That was kind of how I grew up around cars, which I was like, that's cool. But my taste obviously differed from his because I went to the Japanese stuff and he hated it.
Mm. Yeah.
But the purist.
It was your era.
It was my era. Exactly. It's like what I grew up with. My friends, they all, we all loved drifting and time attack. And that was just like our thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those were the best cars to do it in for lightness and best suspension. Affordability too.
Yeah.
Like suspension and everything else was just like, that's where it's at.
Yep.
But real quick back on the purists, I love seeing purists get really pissed off online.
Do you?
Yes. I love seeing like a Porsche, like a really nice 993, like 90s Porsche, and there's an LS3 in the back, and they're like, "You ruined it."
Yeah.
Did I?
No, just faster. Just made it different.
The way better car.
Just made it different. Yeah.
Again, he probably pitched the cylinder out of the freaking block.
The air-cooled crap.
Always that. I don't know. Grant would vehemently argue the point because of what he's done with his Mustang, but he made that decision early on. He's like, this is what I want to do. I only want to put parts on this car that could have come stock if you spec ordered it, which some of it, I don't know with his particular car. Some of it that he's put on there, I don't know that that's actually possible because he did stuff with like the GT500 wheels and this. You couldn't get those on that car.
No,
not that car,
but that same chassis, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. So I
understand that.
There's those variabilities.
So,
but I think he needs to junk that idea and just modify the shit out of it because it could be a good car.
Yeah.
Or put it back to street and get yourself a race car.
Yeah. Yep. Just no limits, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like I'd put him in the purist category.
I do too. For sure.
Especially with the Ferraris.
We're going to break him out of that, but yes.
But if you think about it, right? Purists say if it's not numbers matching, okay, he has fucked up the numbers on that car.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Well, I don't think he cares about the numbers matching part because he swapped motors and transmissions and all that stuff.
It's all factory components.
Right.
For different cars.
Right.
But the transmission.
Yep.
That's not a stock transmission for the GT.
No.
So, yeah. Anyway.
So, yeah, I don't know. He stands somewhere in the middle between purist and not because...
I think he's in denial.
Well, probably.
I love you, Grant.
Yeah. Love you, buddy. Picking on you. You're not here to defend yourself.
I can't wait till he listens to this because we're going to get all kinds of text messages.
Oh, my gosh. The text chain is going to blow up. I know it is. So... The only other thing, I don't know, I probably have a lot of stuff going, but I'm still in search of my motor for the GMC. I reach out to a few contacts here and there and say, hey, found anything yet? Nothing's really popped. There was, I don't know, Grant posted that one thing or sent it to the text chain of, it's not a Gen 3 though, it's a Gen 2.
It's a 94, right?
Yeah, I think that's Gen 2, right?
That's Gen 2.
Yeah. It's not really what I want, but it's not a bad deal for a wrecked or a rebuild.
It was also pending sale.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was pending.
He just sent a screenshot. I couldn't tell.
And the very top of the post said pending sale in asterisk.
Well, that one's out. Not a bad deal.
That would be a great deal.
I kind of thought so too.
Gen 3
like $15,000 for a
it said it had never been wrecked.
Viper. Yeah.
He said he took it apart to fix it up and never did.
I call bullshit. He didn't have a title.
That's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But it's not like with your GMC you want you don't necessarily need a title.
I didn't want the title.
But at the same time, it'd be nice if we could sell it without the motor with the title.
I suppose so, but I would just part it all out.
Yeah.
Take everything.
I mean, I know that
needed
hood
and-
alone
Yeah.
is worth like $7,000.
Oh, damn.
Really?
Like an OG hood on the Gen 1 and 2 is unobtainium.
Okay.
You can't find it.
Yeah, I figured I could pay for
Headlights,
the entire
too.
motor with just parting it out. But if it's pending sale, I'm not going to get it anyway. Anyway, still looking for a Gen 3 Viper motor. If anybody knows of one that's in good condition and has all the pieces, parts, that's
Yeah.
what I need.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Probably
still looking.
a harness too, right?
I mean, I can do aftermarket
custom
harness.
make it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
So
Plenty of guys.
that part's not as big a problem, I feel like. What else I got? I think that's it really for my projects. I got to still put the motor into our other Corvette that is sitting on the floor in my shop, but I'm kind of waiting till after race season. That way I can just dedicate, shuffle.
That's what winter's for, man.
Yep. Shuffle stuff around in my shop, get that thing on the rack and start going at it. I can have it done in like 4 days if I just do it.
Sure.
So
But
That'll
the
be a
weather's
thing.
nice.
it is. I know there's stuff to do. There's other stuff to do.
Weather's nice and tires can be burned.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I do. I would like to get a few more events in. Even though we only have one more Corvette sanctioned event, I would like to go to a couple others just to fill out the season a little
For
bit.
sure.
Burn up some more tires. Why
Yeah,
not?
that's what I'm gonna do. I plan on hitting at least one drift event and then the autocross event. That's what I'd love to do before the weather gets to shit.
Yep. Do something like that. Then I got to pull the motor out of the black car, have that one massaged over the winter. I've got all the parts for that already, so that's great.
When are you doing it
Except
now?
maybe new pistons, but that's okay.
Oh, you're gonna pull the heads off?
Yeah, I've got new heads. Tony Memo Motorsports heads,
Yep. Familiar.
and a custom grind cam. So with the LS9 water pump, I've got the what intake have I got for that? I had him massage an intake too, so it's all ported out, ready to go. All the lifters, all the everything. So I'm going to have that done, but I'm going to have the rotating assembly checked, new pistons, rings, honed cylinders, do the whole thing. So it'll
It's
be
a full build.
freshy.
Yeah, that's gonna be sick.
It'll be good. So that's winter project.
It's gonna be a lot more power.
Yes, it is. We're aiming for the high sixes
Yeah,
at the
you'll
wheels.
get it.
Yeah. So that'll be fun.
That's way cool.
Yeah.
You keeping fuel the same?
Yes.
You have enough.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
cool.
So that's exciting stuff. That'll be good for next year. Other than home projects, I don't
Yeah.
have any other car stuff going on unless now Josh was on episode 3. His Civic has been sitting in my shop for 6 months.
Is it that long? I thought he drove it down.
And maybe not 6
Right
months,
around the
maybe
show.
4 months. All right.
It's been about 17 weeks.
yeah, 17, 18
long
weeks.
time.
Something like that. It's been there a while. Calling you out, Josh. He did, to be fair, go through a moving process to another state in the meantime, but I haven't seen any parts show up at my door yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that goes. Get that thing underway.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. So we got some other stuff going on.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yep. Looking forward to it.
I want to see that get done because he's basically building that for a track car.
He is. Yeah. Full cage. I think he was going to do the K24 swap.
Yeah.
And
What Gen Civic?
it's a 2000
There we go.
2000 something.
Yeah, early
7.
early 2000s. I think.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. A little bit rounder
Yeah.
of the version.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
those.
Yeah. It's really clean car too. Like somebody took immaculate care of the thing, and he's just gonna gut it.
Perfect.
Yep.
I like that.
It'll be fine. Yeah. I think that's it for my projects. You got any projects? The Bronco. That's your project.
That's going to be the planning.
Yep.
The boat's the project this year, and then house stuff.
Yeah. Nobody cares about that.
No.
I got my own house stuff. Nobody cares about that. It's
Me too.
awful. Yep.
Nobody gives a shit about my siding.
Right.
It's not nearly as cool as the boat or the Bronco.
Right.
The boat's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I haven't done a good wiring project like that in a while, so that'll be fun.
Yeah. Keep us up to date on that. You gonna take any other projects on, Ian?
Well, I do have a 2002 GMC Sierra that it's a 2500 6.0 that I'd love to lift and put on some cool wheels, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a runner.
It's running. I just drove it last weekend, all weekend.
Nice.
It's a cool little truck. It's not clean, but it's clean enough.
Yeah.
I'd love to just do some visual stuff to it and get it up, and that's about it. Like I said, I just want to freaking burn tires on my car. That's all I'm trying to do.
You ever see other cars that just make you feel like, I want to do that to my car?
Yeah, I saw like a extended cab Sierra the other day.
Oh yeah,
same gen as mine.
Oh, so you were like, that's it. That's what I want to do. It was at the
corner store by my house, and it was like perfect.
Yeah,
and it looked insane. I'm like, God, I need to do that to mine.
There you go.
It just made it like
makes you want to spend money.
It wasn't like gaudy or anything stupid. It was just like really well modded. It's not a dude bro truck? No, it wasn't a dude bro truck. It was just really well done.
Nice.
And I was like, yeah, I think I want to do some of those mods to mine. All right.
Another project right around the corner.
Why not?
Yeah, sure. I guess let's finish this up.
Yeah.
Best. It's not car related. What is it?
Vehicle.
Best vehicle related thing you've seen this week.
You want to start with me?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. So, last Friday, I was driving to meet my boss for lunch. And I get to this stoplight. And I look over at the gas station. And there's a Unimog.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, cool. And it was an old one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, cool. Holy fuck, there's 5 of them.
Oh my gosh, really?
So I sat there drooling, and then somebody honked at me from behind because, the light changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were 5, maybe 6 Unimogs over in this Chevron gas station.
You didn't go over and chat them up?
Unfortunately, where I was turning onto a busy road, and there wasn't really anywhere to turn around.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, I probably would have.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was awesome. Definitely one of them was much older.
Yeah.
Than the other ones. All running, all like set up for adventure vehicles. It was cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. You don't see those out in the wild very often.
No.
Yeah.
I think they look great.
Yeah.
I was pretty stoked to read earlier this week that BMW is going to continue the M2 with the manual transmission.
Yeah, I heard that too.
They're going to bump it out to 2026. They were supposed to stop at the end of this year, and they're going to do it for another 3 years.
Yeah.
And they're going to make like an even more stripped down track version of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which is freaking even better. And it's supposed to be cheaper too, which is...
That's surprising.
I know. Yeah, I think it's just in whistles. So at least
that'll end up being more
expensive. Of course it will. Yeah, by 2026 it's going to be 150 grand.
Yeah, we took 600 pounds of stuff out of this car. Let's charge more.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be like they're forged carbon fenders now. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's cool. I think, I worked for BMW when I was a kid. Like I was just a lot attendant when I was 17. And there were so many manual cars.
Yeah.
Like you get an X5 or an X3, like a SUV and manual.
Yeah.
And now they're talking about killing off their last manual car.
Everything.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
So I was excited to read that.
I have heard and noticed that the really high-end car market is clamoring for more manual transmission.
Yeah.
People want the manual transmission.
Yeah, like that one I talked about last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's only manual.
Yeah.
Or that...
well, and like the
T50.
The T50. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
That's sweet.
It's cool. I hope that trickles down.
Me too.
That's the hard part is the guy that at our level,
Yeah, we're never getting a T50.
No, not ever. I had a couple. Actually, one of them is from a couple of weeks ago because I was out. But I saw a 1960 Lincoln Continental with suicide rear doors, slammed to the ground, jet black all around.
No other way to do it.
Oh my God, it was awesome. The thing is like 25 feet long.
Did you see that up north?
No, I saw it over in Gresham. actually. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They're
just
so good.
He was just cruising, just coolest car.
Oh, they are so cool.
Yeah. It was really nice. So I don't know. For one of the boats, I would take that.
I agree. That's on a different
The
level. That's a little
interior
more
is
high end.
so big too.
Yeah.
Like they're so spacious. They're just massive cars.
Yeah, it's like the 59 to 62 like Bel Air Impala and everything. Like the boat tail thing didn't do me like
Right.
the Continentals did.
Yeah, the
The
Continental.
early 60s
awesome.
Continentals looked so much more
Yeah.
sharp and clean.
Yep.
Like that's my kind of big boat car too.
Yeah. That would be a really cool car to just take on a beach cruise.
Oh yeah.
Just head out, nice long road trip, and they just float down the road.
yeah.
Just yeah.
Well, yeah, when they're 25 feet long and 5,000 pounds, yeah.
Yeah. You
That'd be
get some
nice.
good shocks on that thing, and it's just like you don't feel a thing. It's like riding on pillows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to have a badass stereo in that thing.
Oh,
too.
for sure.
You really could. There's so much room in that car. Oh my
It's-
goodness.
The trunk's got to be like a 5-body trunk.
Easy 5-body
Yeah.
trunk for sure. Yeah. The other car I saw, I did send you guys pictures of, was that 65 Corvair, because we've talked about Corvairs a bit on the show.
Yeah.
That thing was so clean. Just sitting in the
It
parking
looked
lot in
really
front of
nice.
the auto parts
Was
store.
that auto parts? I didn't know if
Yeah.
it was like a Safeway or some same thing.
Yeah. Sitting in front of
It
auto
looked
parts. It's actually
gorgeous.
on there, but super clean car.
It looked
And,
amazing, dude.
yeah. I was really impressed. I was walking all around it taking pictures. I was hoping the owner would come out or something, but they never did. But yeah, that was really neat.
I love Corvairs.
I do too. There's something about them. I just really like them.
Me too.
Some of them are kind of junky.
I like how
but they're old.
I like
so-
how the ends of the trunk and the bumper or the hood kind of cut in.
yeah,
You know
Cut-
what I mean?
cut back
Yeah,
in
they cut
underneath.
back in underneath.
Yeah.
the very topmost of the hood, which you call it, and then the front. That's the outermost point, and then they cut under, and I
Right.
love that look
Yeah.
on cars.
I really like that era too. Like the taillights on that particular car, they just had the little round bullet taillights, 4 of them across the back, and
It looks
it's a
great.
really clean look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I would not mind having one of those cars just to tool it around.
Me too.
It's pretty neat. That's all I got. That's
All right.
everything for today.
Nice.
Guys, thanks for coming in. A little bit shorter show tonight, but it's still good. Still good. So hopefully in the next week or two, we're going to get a couple more guests in. I know we've got a guy lined up that is an HP tuner.
I can't wait.
He also rebuilds first-gen Camaros. That's going to be fun to talk to him. Got some other guys on the line, but nobody's committed yet, so we've got some things coming up, and it should be exciting. So anyway, everybody, thank you for listening to Untitled Car Project. Check us out on social media. Facebook is probably our primary because I only have time for so much. A little bit on the Instagram, but reach out to us with your projects. We're getting a lot of people on the Facebook with some really cool projects. I've been reaching out to a couple people here and there, see if they want to come on the show and talk about them. There's some great stuff out there, so I'm excited for that.
Thank
for
you,
coming.
everybody.
All right.
All right. Thanks, guys.